Hey, what's up, everybody? Lots of laughing at the end of Smackdown. Is Braun Strowman the heel, or is he the babyface? Are they turning Bray Wyatt into a babyface? Are they trying to get the best of both worlds? Have Alexa Bliss with Bray Wyatt as the Fiend, but keep Alexa Bliss a little bit of a babyface? It seems like Braun Strowman is more under a trance than Alexa Bliss is. We'll talk about that and a few other things. First, the formalities. What's up, everyone? It is Friday night, August 14th, 2020. Thank you for spending a little bit of your Friday night with yours truly. This is the Don Tony Show, and I want to welcome everybody. By the way, if you haven't done so already, I would absolutely... No, we haven't done the camera yet. No. People are like, oh, the camera looks great. I actually changed the lighting a little bit today. I have extra 2 lights. I actually, look, I think the phrase out with the old, in with the new is going to be repeated a few times over the next couple of months, but I was tinkering with the lighting today. Problem is, it's very hard to do it during the early evening because there's still sunlight coming in. So I had to wait for it to get pitch black, and then I was watching SmackDown, so I didn't want to stop watching SmackDown. So literally about 10 minutes before we did the show, I brought my little tablet in here, set up some of the lights. So thank you. I really appreciate that. And you know what? Shout out to Shaheen Nuclear Heat Graphics for his artwork. And I hope you're enjoying my little venture into doing a little bit of graphics. I use Photoshop, yeah, do a little logo, yeah, but as far as doing like banners for shows and everything like that, even if you look in the back, the lights are now a little blue. You see, I kind of tinkered with it a little bit, in the super chats. And by the way, thank you very much for that. Definitely shout you out in a moment. But trying to, build on everything, little at a time. But I like where everything is going. I like that all of you are here tuning in today. And, look, I got to be honest with you. I thought today's SmackDown show was pretty decent. And I know it's very popular to complain more than praise, but I personally think SummerSlam this year is actually turning out to be a pretty solid card. Hair versus hair, Sonya DeVille versus Mandy Rose. Hey, you remember what I said on Monday? That you would probably have 4 or 5 matches on SummerSlam where you could truthfully say, you never saw it coming. If you think about it, did we in a million... Now, last week, yeah, Sonya DeVille cut her hair a little bit. Now it makes me think Sonya DeVille is going to lose her hair. Got to get a little bit of revenge, Mandy Rose, right? So, we'll see where it goes. And you know what? Maybe if Sonya DeVille loses the hair, maybe she puts on a wig instead. Or puts on a hat. I think she actually likes to wear, hats like this. So I could see Sonya DeVille losing the hair more than Mandy Rose. You could also go a completely different way. You could have Mandy Rose get shaved bald. Then it's the test for Otis. Mandy, I still love you. You're still my peach. You might be a bald peach. You might look like a newborn peach, but you're my peach. So they could actually go 2 totally different ways with this. We'll see what happens. Now, again, never saw it coming. Asuka, 2 matches. I don't call it 2 straps or 2 belts. I call it double duty Asuka. But the big question is, will Asuka actually wrestle 2 matches? When she won the Battle Royal today, and by the way, did you see all the websites that put up the list of names earlier? They got a lot of it wrong. But when Asuka won that Battle Royal, my immediate reaction was Chris Jericho, when he was undisputed champion, You think of others who wrestled back in around 2000 or early 2000s in the WWE that actually had defended 2 titles and actually may have lost both during a match. So I personally think you have Asuka versus Bayley versus Sasha Banks, a 3-way. And you could go so many different ways with this. Bayley somehow pins Sasha, wins Sasha's belt. You know, there's so many ways you could go with that. But, you know, Roberto, I'll be honest with you, Asuka has been my MVP of the whole COVID era. You know, as far as Raw, SmackDown, across the board, she is the MVP. I wouldn't mind having her with 2 belts. Absolutely don't mind at all. But, you know, I'll say this. You know, a lot of you have brought this up over the past couple of months. And as I watched that Battle Royal tonight, it made me think about it more and more. When you see that you only got a couple of women representing SmackDown, and it's a match on SmackDown, the fact that you do this tri-brand match for a SummerSlam title. Think about that for a minute. NXT, this is the thing that really fascinates me about this. NXT is having TakeOver the night before. So you're actually having another pay-per-view the next night for Raw and SmackDown. And you mean to tell me of the entire SmackDown roster, you needed still to bring in NXT women to possibly win a match and face Bayley at SummerSlam. What does that say about your SmackDown women's roster, if you really think about it? Naomi today, you see all the hashtags the past bunch of weeks. Is the new hashtag going to be Naomi deserves an intro? I mean, this is WWE's way of saying, okay, social media, whine, bitch, all you want. We're going in a certain direction, and we ain't changing it because a couple of people on social media are wah. So I tell you, yeah, 3 pay-per-views in 8 days. Yeah, I tell you, I'm a little surprised that we didn't have a bunch of the usual suspects pointing out and really trying to instigate the fact that AEW's Hour 2 next week for Dynamite actually goes in competition with NXT TakeOver. NXT TakeOver starts at 7 p.m., I believe. AEW Dynamite starts at 6. So that means the first hour of NXT TakeOver goes up against AEW Dynamite, unless I'm wrong with something over here. But, you know, we're going to talk about a few other things, and I hope you notice a little difference with the show tonight, not just lighting, and I'm still tweaking it. So I don't know how I come across right now in the video. I don't know if it looks like I need a suntan badly, which I actually do, but a couple of things I definitely want to tweak from now on. Shout out to David Peralta. Much love, as always. Straight Edge, Retribution doesn't attack those toilets. Retribution, I have a few things to say about that. I'll get into the SmackDown review momentarily. I'll save my comments about Retribution. Actually, we'll get into the SmackDown recap immediately. But I just want to shout out a few people first. But I have something to say about Retribution. Let me just say that my views on the storyline has not gotten any better after watching tonight's SmackDown. By the way, did they attack anybody in NXT? I'm just thinking about that, you know. NXT's owned by WWE. Retribution to the main roster. You know, maybe it's all NXT talents that, you know, weren't given an opportunity on Raw and SmackDown. Could that be it? I don't know. Brainstorming a little bit. Also, Neil Ray, Braun cutting good promo. I'm telling you, man. Braun Strowman. I mean, how long have I been doing this? Ho, ho, ho. Green Giant. I mean, the last month. Now, let's be honest also. You know, cutting promos, you know, and being entertaining on the mic is great. But, you know, you need to be in the ring as well. Think of Braun Strowman's championship reign so far. You take away his match with The Fiend. You take away the Swamp match. what do you have? What do you have? You know, and this is the thing that's funny. You know, WWE is going to have their change of scenery, which I honestly have something to say about that as well. MC Sammy, focus. What's up, man? Wow, it's got to be like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning where you are, maybe 4. So, thank you for staying up, man. Hopefully I don't put you to sleep. We got a couple of interesting. I'm looking at some of the pictures I'm posting today. We got some interesting stuff to get into today. And later on, we will do This Week in Wrestling History. I think if you look at those photos, a lot of very big moments happened this week in history. Even Alberto El Patron, that sexual abuser, makes the list. And we'll do that a little bit later. I think tonight's show is going to be definitely shorter, condensed, tighter. And I want to let everybody know, and I'm going to say this once, and we're moving on. For all of my supporters that have always stuck with me, yesterday I had a PM from someone who actually performs on TV. Don't try to jump and speculate who it is, because you're probably going to be wrong. And, supporter of what I do for a very long time. And he PM'd me. He said, hey, I caught your Wednesday show. And I said, oh, what'd you think? He's like, good show. He says, but can I give you a little piece of advice? He says, people stabbing you in the back, trolls, haters, friends that are not really friends. He says, you always tell people that the ultimate this is success. Just don't bring them up anymore. Just do your thing. Do your thing. That is the reason why people tune into your shows. And it made me think about it a little bit. Back in 2008, and I used to really rag on other shows, I started thinking to myself, you know what? I want people to tune into me because I'm good, not because other people are bad. And I really got to get back into that frame of mind. So going forward, no more goof references. In fact, I'm going to make a commitment right now. If I ever do that again, I give away prizes. I mean, it's not going to happen. So you're going to hear it once. I mean, if someone in wrestling is a goof, we're going to call them out on that. But as far as social media people, podcasters, friends, not friends, we're just going to go on and pretend like they don't exist. And I promise you that. You have my word. And I think, honestly, my word is probably one of the biggest assets about yours truly. I mean, I have a 23-year reputation, and many examples of where my word is my bond. So you have my word. No more. No more. So anyway, let's get back to SmackDown. All right. So SmackDown opens up tonight. And we're going to talk about the, what was it, the Amway Center or whatever the name of it is. When a piece of meat is rotten, you could put some breadcrumbs over it. You could put some flowers, some scenery. You could even change the label. You could even make it real computer beautiful. But if the meat is still rotten, it's still a rotten piece of meat. And, I absolutely like the idea that WWE is going to be going to the Amway Center in Florida. All right, but if they think seriously, and we'll get into SmackDown for a second. I want to just bring this up first. If they think that going to the Amway Center and using and I heard different reports, I heard as big as 2,500 square feet. Now think about it. An apartment is usually on average 600 to 800 square feet. A decent sized house, well, you got to go really high this way, but a decent sized house is about 2,000 square feet. You're talking 2,500 square feet of LED screens that shows virtual fans. I don't know if it's virtual fans from video games. They kept teasing tonight that WWE Universe is going to be really interactive. I don't know if they're going to tell people to send in pictures of themselves and they're going to just superimpose them on seats, where I don't know. I don't even know if that would look good. I mean, the stuff I see on TV with baseball, it depresses me. I look at the only time I actually like the cardboard cutouts is when the foul balls hit the pictures of the animals. And I'm not an animal abuser, but I just find it funny. If anybody goes back to Dave Winfield and, the bird and somebody else, who killed the bird during the Met game? Anybody that's old school, like me, from the 80s. Who was the player that I think played the Mets? And I remember Tim McCarver's voice. He hit a bird. He hit a bird. Does anybody remember who it was? Because there's been a couple over the years. I'll never forget. Remember Randy Johnson throwing that 100-mile-an-hour fastball, and as he threw it, the seagull, I almost cursed, the seagull went by, and you saw feathers everywhere. No. There was a baseball game. I have it on video. No, nobody remembers. So I'll look it up, and I'll probably do a Google search later and, answer it for myself. But I remember that in the late 80s that happened. And it was probably like 86, 87. Dave Winfield wouldn't have played the Mets in the late 80s unless it was an exhibition game. You know what? Isaac could be right. It might have been Kevin Mitchell. You could be right. And bravo if you're right, if that's the case. But going to the Amway Center, just because it looks like there's a whole bunch of fans there, just because it looks like an arena with lights and this and that, if the storylines are still terrible, if the decision-making by the decision-makers is still terrible, you could take that rotten piece of meat and make it look as beautiful as you want. It's still a rotten piece of meat. So I don't mind them going to the Amway Center. They're not going to put fans in there yet, but I look at it like this. They announced, I believe today, that Daytona, NASCAR racing, Daytona announced today that they're letting live fans go back. Everybody gets temperature checked. Everybody must wear masks and social distancing. So I personally think them going back to the Amway Center, gradually they'll start letting people back in. You got to remember something. It's not just opening the doors. It's not like they're going to do a SmackDown taping and there's like 200 fans outside hoping that maybe WWE will just let us in, get out of the sun, cool off, and watch a little bit of wrestling. I don't think that's going to happen because it's not just the building opening their doors. You need vendors. You need people, security. You maybe you get away with no concession stands, but you're not going to just open the doors. They don't own the Amway Center. So I think this will start leading to some fans being let in, similar to what AEW is doing. And, again, I think that's a good thing. I wear a mask all the time. I social distance. I have, hand sanitizers probably every room in my house. Look, COVID isn't going to sneak through my windows. It's not going to go through a crack in the ceiling. So if I have no COVID in my house, I got no COVID. But just being in a repetition of sanitizing, washing a little bit more, it's good hygiene anyway. But, all of these places, you got to ignore the jealous folk on social media. They did it with Fozzy. They did it because AEW let 150 fans in or 200 fans in the other day. You know what the funny thing is? 200 fans is a decent crowd for an indie event in my neck of the woods. There are many indie promotions, some of the ones that have returned, that only generate 200-300 fans. So sure, the payroll on an indie promotion is far less than an AEW or a WWE. But the point is that you let a couple of hundred fans in there and you spread them out pretty good. That's not bad. And you know what? As ridiculous as this sounds, you can, if you're going to do the virtual reality stuff or you're going to, whatever you do, you can have still fans there and we don't see them on TV. The only problem is, and this is something that nobody thought about online. I have yet to see anybody bring it up. You have 2,500 square feet of LED panels showing all of the virtual fans. You imagine if they let some people in and you're sitting in the boondocks or the rafters and you got LED panels all in front of you or around ringside, I'd be kind of angry. So, there's a lot of logistics, but one thing was pretty much a given. I think we all said this for the last couple of weeks. There was no way they were going to Atlantic City. There was no way they were going to fly to another state. There was no way they were going to just pack up and go. Amway Center is going to be their home for the foreseeable future. They're going to go live again. I personally think live is very important. I think live is better for WWE than even the Amway Center. And the reason why I say that is, these wrestlers, when it's pre-recorded and there's no live fans there, if a segment happens and there is a major botch or something absolutely terrible, you can edit a little bit. You saw how they edited a little bit with Kairi Sane and Nia Jax that time. But if you're live, every wrestler that is performing in that ring, sure, you may not have regular fans around your ringside area, but you got millions and millions and millions watching you at home. Look at me right now. I'm not comparing me to them, but the point is that I don't have anybody here, but I know everybody remotely is watching me right now. So this will force some wrestlers to up their game a little bit, because it's not just about bad writing. It is about, the in-ring work as well. You look closely at all of the promotions out there, and there is a tremendous amount of sloppiness going on. I mean, I could bring up tons of examples. So anyway, now before we get into SmackDown, just want to do a couple of quick super chat shout-outs, and then we'll cover SmackDown a little bit, get into a little bit of wrestling news. I'll even explain why this 26-year-old woman actually has something to do with wrestling tonight. Yeah, I don't know if you heard about this story. Yep. That almost became a storyline. I don't know if you heard about this. Look at that. Oh, we'll talk about that later. I'll tell you the truth. I actually am thinking about buying an autograph just to have something like really, really oddball. But, before we get into SmackDown, and then we'll talk about that, what school you go to. He missed wrestling on Wednesday. You're not the only one. I told everybody Wednesday, expect 100,000 plus drop for both promotions. It had nothing to do with the NBA. But some of these matches, unfortunately, are not solid on paper on Wednesday. And although I really enjoyed Wednesday's night of wrestling, I can understand why people changed the channel. Velveteen Dream, whether there was controversy or not, him versus Cameron Grimes versus Kushida is something that's going to make wrestling fans, I got to tune in and see this. No, I don't think so. Orange Cassidy versus Chris Jericho. AEW fans love Orange Cassidy. I think he's great. I had a picture on the wall behind me, not so I could get a like from Orange Cassidy, but because I like the guy. But the thing is that I've pointed out Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho have the lowest quarter rating in the history of AEW. And their other segments, even with the orange juice coming down, did not pop ratings. The ratings went down for those segments. Then we go to the NXT side. And I tell it like it is, man. But I also defend this guy because he is very new still, and he's just getting started. But Karrion Kross and Keith Lee, you pay attention to those quarter hours the last 3 weeks, not impressive at all. And I think WWE strategically put them at the beginning of NXT because NXT's quarter one, the first 15 minutes of NXT, is one of the strongest ratings that they get week after week after week. You had that match with Io Shirai not too long ago. It popped almost 900,000 viewers. You had the number one contenders match with Dakota Kai, and I don't remember who she faced. That did like 800-something thousand viewers. You end up with ratings of 6s and 7. You start out that great, and you still end up with 6s and a low 7. That shows you how much it goes down. So I just personally think that, fans were not as enamored to what they were seeing on TV as, they think. And, bravo to AEW for really making everything they do extremely special. but you see some of their tweets talking about, like stopping your breath and history and big data. Orange Cassidy being Chris Jericho was a big deal for Orange Cassidy, but to try to make it look like a WrestleMania moment, especially with that finish, there's nothing wrong with, putting over your own product. But some of the what they write, I'm like, are you watching what I'm watching? But AEW's ratings have been impressive, no doubt. This week, they scored 792, and NXT scored 619. Now, unfortunately for everybody today, the quarter-hour ratings are delayed until probably Wednesday Night Dynamite. And the reason being, more than anything, is that NXT didn't even make the top 50 of shows on cable Wednesday night. AEW was number 7. NXT didn't even make the top 50. When you don't make the top 50, those numbers are not really that accessible. I'm not kidding. I had an old account with Nielsen where I get access to all of the numbers. That's why I used to cover the numbers so in detail back in the late 90s, early 2000s, if people remember my hotline reports. So I went and, because I have the same email address since 1993. So I logged in. I forgot my password because I honestly don't remember my password. And it emailed me a password. I reset it and I request reactivation. So now I'm waiting for Nielsen to approve it again so I could get you the quarter hours immediately, firsthand. So, so we'll probably cover that on Wednesday. Cassette Classics, virtual fans, reminds him when AWA did it in 90. Yeah. Look, that $1 million challenge thing they did. They, in fact, I think right now, I got to put the air on, excuse me. It's getting hot in here. I purposely kept the air off because I wanted to see with these new lights if they generated a little bit less heat. And they kind of do, but it still gets really, really warm in here. It's summertime still. But there is on the WWE Network right now an AWA episode. It was like a pilot. I don't know if it was a pilot or maybe the first round, and there's no fans in attendance. Go check it out. Kind of like, gives you a little bit of flashback as far as what. And wrestling, at times over decades and decades have done events here and there without fans. I mean, we've had some of the most infamous empty arena matches go down. The thing is, though, is when you have an empty arena, you sell it like it's an empty arena and everybody watching knows it's an empty arena. WWE, before they started putting some NXT workers around ringside, they pretended like, there was still fans in attendance, even though there wasn't. They would not mention anything, but still, they got to make some changes. Soulfly, be more. Soulfly, be more. If a fan wears an AEW shirt while being shown on the video screen, will they just shut off that screen? Yeah, you want to know something? I don't think it's going to be where you remotely send your signal and it beams into SummerSlam. Yeah, all that stuff has got to be before that, because for a fact, I think everybody out there will agree, that if they let people live beam in their likeness so they could be at the SummerSlam, what I would do? I would immediately go, you thought I was going to moon the camera. You think I want to get a strike over here? I showed my boxer shorts, I would do that immediately. I turn around and start mooning everybody, But no, it's going to be, if they do that, they'll probably tell fans, submit your face or this, and that, and we'll put it on the virtual screen. I'll tell you this much, if they do that in advance, I'm going to send in Deli Man. I'll send in Deli Man, seriously. Or maybe I'll send in that picture of me, Mish, and AJ Moore, the artist, a lot of his artwork behind me, or me and Shaheen, do a couple of, I'll put, maybe everybody that was at Lucky 13 will have a whole row of seats, I'll tell you the truth. I know it's going to sound ridiculously stupid, but for first couple of rows, for virtual, if they're letting fans send it in, let them pay. Seriously, you want to be in the front row? Ever dreamed of being front row at a WWE pay-per-view but didn't have the cabbage? If you contribute $9.99, you actually first come, first serve. I'm not kidding. People went nuts about AEW heels. $29 a year. Now Brandy's talking about having the meet and greets and this other things, and it's, now you're starting to realize, some people, you're going to get your money's worth pretty quickly. But I tell you, I think that would be an interesting money grab. If WWE did something like $5 or $10, you send your likeness in, it approves, no nudity, no, outlandish behavior, and you get put in the front row. I'm serious. If it was that cheap and I'm able to do it, I'd buy a block of seats immediately and I'd randomly select some of you out there and we all sit front row. I'm telling you, just business. Look, it's all about making money. That's what makes the world go around. Making money. That's, some people might think, it's kind of like dirty tactics and this and that. Making money. It's all about making money. So we'll see. We'll see. Oh, all right. Cool. Who said this? I got to give him props for this. What's good? Okay, Dion. No, I don't think it was Dion James. Yeah, I don't think it was. It sounds like it, with the one that hit a bird. All I know is I remember Tim McCarver in the late 80s. He hit a bird. And it was, I think it was Kevin Mitchell. I really do think it was Kevin Mitchell. I think Isaac was correct before. But you know what I'll do? I'll look up the video and I'll post it on my Twitter later. If anybody's just curious, I don't think anybody out there really wants, and you don't see the ball hit the bird. Randy Johnson is probably the only one that I've ever seen like that. So, and man, that was just crazy. Neil Ray, they need to push Alexa to win the title and go heel again. I don't know what they're doing. The way they're playing this off, and Braun Strowman really dropped her. They did the light thing, but he dropped her. So, Braun is, in a trance right now because of everything with The Fiend. But Braun is the one that seems like, the heel right now, to be honest with you. That's what it feels like. And I still think Nikki Cross should be the swerve over here, because Nikki Cross, you could already see, her value without Alexa Bliss. Backstage segment saying, "I'm sorry for what happened a few weeks ago. Top of the morning, I got my family in Scotland. They keep watching me lose. I sound like Scotty from Star Trek." But those segments are not enough. Nikki Cross, you feel like she's taking a step backward here. I still would love to see Nikki Cross with The Fiend. Just make her look really disheveled. I actually like that, man. Harley Quinn is queen. Actually enjoyed SmackDown tonight, and yes, thank you. I'll do my best. If you enjoy the shows, that's what matters the most. Thank you for that. I enjoyed SmackDown too. I'll tell you, the first hour flew by. The only thing I didn't like about SmackDown tonight, we can open up now with the SmackDown review. Retribution. Now this feels like, remember when NWO had way too many members and they put Vincent in there and they put, some others, I'm just Horace Hogan and others. At least they weren't masked, but there was a point where we were like, oh, there's way too many people. Now you're just putting people under a mask and they're just going out there and doing dumb stuff and everything. And I tell you, this is a bit, and I'm just talking in storyline right now. This is $1 billion company. All right. You open up SmackDown on network TV in storyline, and you're saying that there's added security, that there's people all around and this and that, and not even 10 minutes into the show, you have a whole bunch of Retribution hitting the ring, attacking Big E, attacking Morrison, and you have an entire locker room back there that doesn't come out at all. What were they all? Outside having a barbecue until their match was called? You have all of the NXT quote-unquote fans around ringside. And yes, when I think about that, with a clear head, you would never want fans to try to hit the ring. That's why they don't interfere. The problem is that when Retribution went into the fans area and started beating up random people last week, now all bets are off. You got, they learned from last week. WWE learned from last week. They saw the feedback online, and they're like, there's 5 or 6 of these guys and gals They look all like they're 5 feet tall. How come you have 20, 30 people around ringside? They're getting beat up. The Retribution's dropping weapons, and you're not doing nothing. This time around, they don't drop the weapons when they had them. But again, you see what's going on with the storyline, and I got to be honest with you. I thought that opening was just really stupid, to say the least. You have all the wrestlers in the back, all like having like a meeting with King Corbin and everybody else, and they're like, what are we doing, this and that? Where were all of you? The only person that really had an excuse, Miz was talking to Madusa. What about everybody else? Where did all the security go? Where did they go? So I'm telling you, I just, the storyline is very shoddy at best. I'll still go with my hunch, my idea. I should say idea, not a hunch, that I'd like Shane McMahon to be the one behind this. Then maybe it's Survivor Series. Stephanie represents Raw or SmackDown. Triple H represents NXT. And Retribution is represented by Shane. The only thing is we have not seen Retribution interact with NXT. And that kind of makes me think, wouldn't it be something if, Triple H or, was trying to sabotage everything. But still, you're a billion-dollar company. After People Under Masks storyline show up last week and do what they did, even though it didn't look great, and you talk about how it's elevated security and we got to hide all these people, and the funny thing is, the security they showed around ringside looked like the NXT fans. They were just standing there. No billy clubs, no weapons. I don't expect them to show guns or anything like that. But it would just seems very, very sloppy. Yes, the big reveal obviously is going to be the only important point of this storyline. Coming out there on the masks week after week after week and just doing this stuff, and then security disappears, the roster disappears. And here's another thing too. I know this may be nitpicking, but this probably annoyed me the most about SmackDown. And again, I enjoyed SmackDown tonight. But this little part angered me more than anything else tonight. You go back and you watch Retribution doing what they're doing. Last week, they attacked the people around ringside. So what do the ringside people do tonight when Retribution is doing what they're doing to Big E and Morrison and everyone else? Boo! Boo! Can you imagine if you just want to go that Antifa route for a minute? Can you imagine you're like on your block or in front of your store and all these Antifa people are like trying to burn everything down and they're beating up all your neighbors and and you just stand there and you go, boo! 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 It was so stupid. So stupid. They're causing criminal activity, chaos, and destruction. And the best thing WWE comes up with is, we'll have everybody boo! Boo! Go back and watch it. I thought that was some of the dumbest. It's so dumb. I'm trying not to curse. I don't think I've cursed yet tonight. I'm trying to do a vulgar free show. I don't know, man. All right, Dorian Meza hit the controversy with the bird. Here we go. All right, so that was right. It was Deion James. 1987, Braves versus Mets. A ball falls in front of Kevin McReynolds. Rafael Santana picks up the dead bird. And yes, I remember he picked it up by the legs. That's right. I know for all of you younger people out there, like, what do I care about 1987? It's just we're talking about animals and, whatever. Let's get back to SmackDown, shall we? By the way, shout out to all of you, especially those live. I thank you. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I hope you enjoyed the little tweaks. And next week, when I get to hook this baby up. Hopefully the video just not just the video, the quality, but I know sometimes you get like buffering stuff on YouTube because these view cams, these cams, Logitech, Brios or whatever, their mechanics inside are not all that spectacular. Good quality, obviously, but it's not, perfect. So this should really, iron out all of the buffering and any streaming issues. So, Neil, I'm going to get into your super chat when we get to Asuka in a moment because I like what you're saying right now. So, Big E versus Morrison originally is a no contest. And we come back from break and all the wrestlers in the back. Big E is holding his leg. Morrison is beat up a little bit. And you got King Corbin, talking about having some order over here. And, Miz, he's talking about how he was talking to Maurice and this and that. And then Big E got fired up, and he said that he's going to have a match later on. And he promises to beat Morrison. And, Big E, when he first started talking, it sounded like a promo. And after Retribution does what they just did, you don't want to be sounding like a promo. But he didn't. What he said was fine. Sheamus, in the back, ruffling some feathers, saying that Retribution wouldn't do anything to him, because they're scared. However, Sheamus said they're scared. So, so we go to the next match, which was the Triple Brand Battle Royal. For those that got that list of names earlier that, was wrong, SmackDown was taped. So it's not like, last minute they put someone else in the ring. No. The list of people that performed in the Battle Royal tonight was Asuka, Peyton Royce, Billie Kay, Tegan Nox, Tamina, Shayna Baszler, Shotzi Blackheart, Lacey Evans, Dana Brooke, Bianca Belair, Nikki Cross, Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, and Naomi. I think I mentioned Shotzi Blackheart too. A lot of names absent from that list. But this was the battle royal they decided to go up with. I'll be honest with you, it seemed very uneventful. Bayley and Sasha doing the introductions, and every person that comes out, Bayley's insulting and everything. It was what it was. I think a lot of us were very surprised to hear Asuka's music hit. When her music hit, I thought she was coming out there just to attack Sasha Banks because of their match coming up at SummerSlam. But it ends up Asuka is in the Battle Royal. Me personally, I want to see Shayna Baszler win it, but I'm still wanting that 24/7 title. At minimum, if I have to use a title, I'll use the 24/7 title. I want the 24/7 title to end up in Raw Underground, and I want Shayna Baszler to be holding that belt. To be honest with you, I know it's a goofy belt. We have talked about that many times. We don't need to go there again. But I kind of think Shayna Baszler on Raw Underground, plus not for nothing. I don't know if you've all been seeing those little skits after the Raw is over with Shayna Baszler and R-Truth talking about seafood and tartar sauce and, just cocktail sauce. That is some comedy gold. I don't think that'll ever go on TV as much as we would like, but that is an interesting, I'm telling you, it's funny stuff, man. Shayna Baszler, she is very dry. She's very dry and very nasty. But you have to expand her character a little bit. She's got to be the straight straight woman. I almost said straight man, force of habit. Straight woman of the deal. But to try to break her, to break character and laugh, I don't know. I like it. I'm not gonna lie. But my pick, I would have liked to have seen Shayna Baszler win. But then again, I thought to myself, there's no way Bayley is gonna lose it to Shayna Baszler. That's the only reason why I'm kind of glad that Shayna wasn't the choice. But, it was typical Battle Royal, went very, very quickly. the one thing that was happening multiple times, and I don't understand why the referees around ringside were not telling the women who were eliminated, go, leave. Dana Brooke, all right, she was still in the match, so she pulls. I don't remember who she pulled and knocked off the rope. I'm trying to remember who it was. Was it Shotzi Blackheart? No, it was Tegan Knox. I remember Tegan Knox. It was Tegan Knox, Shayna Baszler in one corner, and Asuka in another. And Tegan Knox is running back and forth, back and forth. Shayna Baszler, I think she kind of struggled a little bit to throw Tegan Knox over. Obviously, she wasn't supposed to throw her all the way to the floor. Just get her over the top rope so she's on the other side, and then Dana Brooke could pull her feet and knock her off. But if I remember correctly, Lacey Evans did it as well. There were a few people that got eliminated because of that. Now, that could easily set up a reason for a match in the future between two people. But, one point, and I'm a little bit critical of Dana Brooke. Look, I criticized the hell out of Ray Phoenix on Wednesday for that stuff. I hope you've all seen it by now. That kind of hurt, and I didn't even punch hard. Seriously. I didn't even punch hard. I'm not flexing. I don't have biceps, but that hurt. Go watch. If you haven't seen it yet, you got to see it. Just look up AEW Dark Ray Phoenix and just hit latest on the search on Twitter. Just watch that video. There's no excuse for that. I mean, people were actually trying to justify it by saying, no, it's, the arm underneath that's doing it. Oh. But Dana Brooke today, there was one spot where Dana Brooke went between the ring and the outside canvas area, and she's stuck inside, and she's getting hit, and she's doing this. It didn't look good. But in the end, we had Asuka and Shayna Baszler as the final two. And Asuka, she actually wins. She hit the running knee on Sasha Banks. She attacked Bayley. And Asuka goes on to SummerSlam. Wasn't that bad. It's probably how I would do it because I'm horrendous. I criticized them, but I couldn't do what they do. Let's be honest. I'm just joking a little bit. But, by the way, I had a lot of people tell me that scribble that I did Wednesday, a lot of people laughed at that. They didn't like the Michael J. Fox reference. I kind of apologize for that. Just old DT. Old DT is still fighting to try to come out, trying to jab and break through, but no, that's old. That's done. That's buried. So Asuka now goes on to SummerSlam. She faces Bayley. She faces Sasha Banks. Now, I told you I see this two different ways, all right? And we have some ideas as well as far as what they should do. For example, Neil Ray says Asuka wins the title, then Bayley backstabs Sasha Banks, and she loses the title. And yes, Neil also agrees this Antifa-like storyline on SmackDown is an annoying disappointment. Love you too, brother. And it's a disappointment because I don't know if you noticed, but there was something said on SmackDown that was kind of like teased before, but it's something I think is very important. That they're reflecting things going on today when describing Retribution. So they're basically now, WWE is acknowledging that Retribution is copying what they're seeing out there, which is Antifa. Let me put it this way. I don't like bringing up real life tragedies because a tragedy is a tragedy no matter what. No matter which side you're on, if you're killed, unprovoked, it's still a tragedy. It's not about black or white, a Republican or Democrat. It's a tragedy. But I saw in the news not too long ago, there was a guy who was marching down the street. It wasn't the one that was dating the woman that was in the chair that she was disabled. But there was another guy that was walking down the street, and, he was talking about, how he's a tough guy, acting like a tough guy, that, it's now make our move, blah, 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 this and that. And they're doing a lot of illegal stuff. And it just so happened, like the next day, he was home, like in front of his house, just like hanging out, and somebody drove by and blew him away. And they believe it had zero to do with anything going on in the street. But my point is that, if you're going to be a tough guy, if you're going to destruct, if you're going to do things, it's not the ninjas, where the ninjas was intentionally comical. They're playing it off as serious as far as the storyline goes. And when you got a guy, like I said on Raw, throwing a cinder block through a window, and you got a receptionist sitting in the back, and the receptionist is like on the phone, Wild Wrestling Entertainment, Wild Wrestling Entertainment, Wild Wrestling Entertainment, and then you pick up this second cinder block, and you throw it through the window. It's already broken. I mean, I understand you break 2 windows. Wow, it's going to cost this twice now. But I mean, if you're going to destruct, you go to the max. You do the chainsaw. I did it last week. The rope. You got to do mass destruction. That's why Nexus is so memorable. Because everything they did around ringside, and yes, it's memorable because of what Daniel Bryan did to Justin Roberts and so many other things, but it was so believable. Yes, it was storyline. We knew it was all storyline, but the point is, and I said this before, if you, me, or anyone else was in that ring with Nexus that night, and we were going to destroy Raw, everything that was destroyed is pretty much what we would have done. We wouldn't have attacked the fans because you had 10,000 people over there that would beat the crap out of us. So if you're going to, show these people last week on an upside down car, and they look like little kids that, like, I don't know, like little kids that ripped off, like they're in a park and there's a sliding pond. And I'm sure we've all, I'll give you a good one. And maybe some older people out there, this is revealing my age a little bit because a lot of you don't go to the park anymore. How many of you out there, when you used to go to the park when you were younger and you had to swing, the chain swing, you're riding on the swing, and you're trying to go as high as you could, you're going on the swing. Then what you do, some people, is you get off the swing and you start twisting it and twisting it and twisting it. And then you let it go and it goes shh. And hopefully you catch your friend in the jaw with it or something like that. Anybody remember that when we were kids? But my point is, like, if you tried to take the swing and you try to rip it off or knock it off, or the sliding pond, you try to turn it upside down, just causing mischievous. And then you turn it upside down and you and your friends at 8 years old are like jumping up and down like, yeah, we did it. That's what they look like. They look like 8-year-olds jumping up and down in a park. WWE's got to really, they're changing it on the fly. That's why you had like so many new members today under masks and this and that. I want to know the clothing company that supplied all that stuff. Do they have like an Antifa, like a Salvation Army, like an Antifa Salvation Army where you could buy all those outfits and stuff? But that storyline is a mess. It is an absolute mess. And the only part of that storyline so far that I think is going to be good is the reveal. The reveal, plain and simple. Did my, that's not a curse word, did my tits jump up and down when I did that? So anyway, so I like the idea of that title change. Who says Retribution is like aces and 5'8"? I like that because I came up with aces at 0.8s way back when. What school do you go to? Says Retribution really is aces and 5'8"? That's pretty creative, man. I thought my aces at 0.8s was good because that's what the Impact ratings were at the time when Aces and Eights were doing their thing. I actually had a shirt made up, Aces and 0.8s. Was never able to sell it because of threats of lawsuit. I have a couple of shirts that I always wanted to put out and could never do so. So, yeah, so we'll get into a couple other super chats when we get to the topics. But I'll tell you, what I'd like to see is I'd like to see one of two things happen at SummerSlam. I'd like to see Asuka versus Bayley versus Sasha in a three-way. Let Stephanie make the announcement that since Asuka is facing Sasha and Asuka is facing Bayley, that she decides to make it a three-way. And, and all the belts are on the line. Now, the only thing that sucks about that is Asuka would probably only win one belt, or she would just get pinned and win 0 belts. The other way to do it is Asuka has 2 consecutive matches. She fights Bayley first or Sasha first. Maybe they do a flip of a coin, and that's who she faces first. And, the only problem is with that is you don't think one person's going to lose the belt and the other one is not. I like the idea of having Asuka come out with 2 belts. The problem is, you got to stop with these DOS straps, 2 belts, DOS belts. I've been saying this for several years now. I said it's pretty much Asuka and the 4 Horsewomen. That's pretty much who gets pushed on Raw and SmackDown. You get little drips and drabs here and there of others, but in the end, you have Asuka and the 4 Horsewomen. Becky Lynch is pregnant. Congrats to her. Charlotte is on the men. Good for her. But still, this is Usos and New Day all over again. When WWE is in a lull, you go to who is the most reliable, that is the most talented, and who has done the best for you. And that's why they keep... You see everything that was the buzz online about Naomi. You see other women on the WWE roster frustrated right now. Ember Moon, who cannot wrestle right now, said that, all the belts should not be tied up with 2 people. And I think we all agree with that. Now, right now, it's part of a storyline, so that storyline's got to change soon. But does that help at all by having Asuka with 2 belts? Like WWE's suddenly got this fascination with DOS straps, 2 belts, 2 belts. Keith Lee, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, Bayley. Enough. Having 2 belts was extremely rare back in the day. Now you think about it, you have 4 people, and I'm probably leaving maybe someone out. You have 4 people that have had 2 belts in a short amount of time. What does that say? I mean, just because it worked beautifully for Becky Lynch, we got to do it again. Hey, we got to do it again. Hey, we got to do it again. And we got to do it again. Yeah, New Japan. Well, you know what? Evil, New Japan, totally different. Totally different. Because New Japan's product is pretty damn solid. It's not as popular in the States as a lot of us would like it to be, but it's very solid. So you don't mind if someone has 2 belts if the overall product is solid. But I will say this. I know I'm jumping the gun, but as much as we criticize WWE for months and months and months, and the ratings reflect it, Vince could blame, we don't have fans. We're not live. We're not in an arena. We're in a tiny little rink-a-dink thing with dark room. Blah, 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 blah. 2 years ago, a lot of our wrestlers are injured. You're fired! I had to do at least one good one. It wasn't too bad. A little strain on the voice. But as much as WWE's been bad, or at times, for an extended period of time, I'm not going to lie to you. This SummerSlam card looks pretty damn solid. Now, before I read the card, you have next week AJ Styles versus Jeff Hardy for the IC title on SmackDown. I know a lot of you, what you're saying already. It's the weekend of the pay-per-view. Why isn't this on SummerSlam? Remember the last time that happened? Shut up! I hope I didn't wake up my neighbor. It is 11:05. But when was the last time we had a title defense the weekend of a pay-per-view? Does anybody remember? AJ Styles versus Matt Riddle. Anybody remember that? Matt Riddle came out, challenged AJ Styles. They had the title match right before the pay-per-view. And a lot of people, including me, thought it was going to end up in a schmaz, and then that would lead into the pay-per-view. I don't know if that's going to happen this time around. But as Matt Riddle was new to the SmackDown roster, which kind of is the reason why that didn't happen on pay-per-view. But Jeff Hardy next week, I personally think that would be, pun intended, a phenomenal match to see on pay-per-view. Now, when I continue the SmackDown results, we'll talk about the segment that AJ Styles and Jeff Hardy had, because I thought it was awesome. I thought it was fun. See Abyss back on TV. Some people thought it was Mish. It was nice to see Abyss back on TV. Joseph Park, probably the proper name to give it. But this is what SummerSlam looks like so far. Not everything is 100% confirmed, but look at these matches. Street Profits versus Andrade and Angel Garza for the Raw Tag titles. Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. Apollo Crews versus MVP for the United States Championship. Okay, maybe that's a little weak. Dominic Mysterio versus Seth Rollins. You know, Dominic, after taking that beating, you know, that's... I'm looking forward to that match. I want to see what he does in the ring. You know, I want to see him just punch, beat. I don't want to see what we used to see a long time ago. I can't wait to get this person in the ring. I'm going to kill him. I'm going to destroy him. I'm going to get revenge. I'm going to this. And then the first move you do is collar and elbow tie up. I don't want to see that. I want to just see him launch himself at Seth Rollins and just start wailing on him. Sasha Banks versus Asuka for the Raw Women's title. Sasha Banks versus Bayley for the SmackDown Women's title. Braun Strowman versus The Fiend for the Universal Championship. Mandy Rose versus Sonya Deville, hair versus hair. We're probably going to get Matt Riddle versus King Corbin. And who knows, maybe we will get the rematch, Jeff Hardy versus AJ Styles for the IC title. Honestly, that's a strong card. Some names still absent from it. Oh, and we'll probably get the Lucha House Party versus Nakamura and Cesaro. That'll be a dart. Let it be the pre-show. But, you know, that's not a bad card, seriously. That is not bad. And what's great about that card is not too many storylines are shoddy. Then you got to also think, will Raw Underground get featured in this at all? Probably not. Will Retribution be involved in this at all? We don't know. So there's a lot of, you know, wild cards that don't have anything even to do with this. But yeah, there are some notable names absent without question. So let's get back to SmackDown. Okay, let me just get back to my notes because I have all my notes written down over here. So after Asuka wins her title, we have Sheamus taking on Shorty G. And you know what? Before I do that, got to give a There we go. How long was that? How long did that happen? Let me see. How long was there no audio, everybody? Let's see. How long was there no audio? That was me. That was me by accident. So my apologies. My apologies. How long was it without audio? Not 5 minutes. Not 5 minutes. No way. About 2 minutes? Really? Oh shit. My apologies. My apologies. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, everybody's like 20 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes. You know what I got to do? I got to legitimately just pay attention to the chat from now on, completely. I know there's an 8-second delay, but I'll just pay attention to the chat. You know, it's just, like I said, it's just a lot of things to do all at the same time when you're doing these shows. So my apologies. Won't happen again. And like I said also, once I go here, I got 2 audio sources. So even if one goes down, this one will work just fine. But you really didn't miss anything. All I was saying is that coming soon, we're going to do Corbin Demolition Night. I'm going to invite everyone out there. If you have any Baron Corbin trading cards that are just taking up space that you want to see blown up, set on fire, you know, I'll be putting up a P.O. Box address, and we're going to take all the cards, put them on display first, and then we're going to put them in like a bin and just blow them all up. Corbin Demolition Night. It'll be legal. We won't get in any trouble for that. You don't want this card. Our mission is to rid the universe of all Baron Corbin trading cards. You know, so, but anyway, we'll talk about that another time. Yeah, so my apologies, and man, I'm not gonna lie, man. I feel guilty that somebody actually has this super chat me to tell me no sound. From now on, and this is another thing I'm actually adding to this area. I'm no longer going to be using Discord on Monday nights. It's not to spite anybody. There's usually only about a dozen people on Discord on Monday nights, but just a technical thing. I always have to use a second computer for my co-host on Mondays. And because I have to use a second computer to put his audio into this show, since, you know, he doesn't want to do video, which is totally just cool. No issues with that. I have to take up space for that computer. So now, starting the next show I do with him, I don't know if it's this week or next week, but I don't have to use 2 computers anymore. And that frees up a lot of area over here. So I'm going to use a second monitor, and that second monitor is going to be just you guys. So there'll always be a monitor right in my face that shows all of you talking. Because right now I have my notes, I have my program, you know, recording and doing all that stuff, and I have you. So it's very hard. And I got like a 36-inch screen. So it's very hard to split the 3 up, but I promise you, and you have my word with this, within 2 weeks from now, we will never have issues buffering or this audio stuff again. But let's get back to the show. You know, we had Chad Gable versus Shorty G, and once again, you know, you're asking yourself, they're both heels, what's going on? And, you know, what stinks about Shorty G's change in direction for the time being, he's losing. He's losing repeatedly. It's not like Shorty G has been on a run, a championship run, a lot of wins, and now we're going to take a little break, turn him heel, be on a losing streak, you know, this and that, and then eventually he'll turn on, or Corbin will turn on him, he'll turn babyface again, and then he'll get a stack of victories. Didn't feel like they're doing anything with Gable. It's like, okay, you know, I know this is all predetermined and scripted, but there is a suspension of disbelief where you want to get behind a winner. I mean, who wants to get behind a loser? You know, and Chad Gable is uber talented, and it's like, instead of giving him something where he actually gets some victories, it's okay, you know, we'll tease him turning heel, he wants to get the bounty and this and that, and, you know, but he still loses. So Sheamus beats him with the white noise and then hit the bro kick for the victory. And I'm saying to myself, where is this going with Shorty G? Is Shorty G King Corbin's lackey? Is this what everybody wanted with Shorty G? So when Shorty G eventually breaks apart King Corbin, like we're all going to be happy about it, this pairing shouldn't have been together in the first place. So I don't, look, Danny, I don't mind them calling him Shorty G. The only problem I have with it is you see him standing next to some wrestlers, and he's the same height of some people. So why is he Shorty? It's not like he's from the hood, and, oh, that's Shorty. Oh, that's Shorty G. Oh, you gotta be careful about Shorty. I'm a Shorty. Shorty G. No, it's not about, from the hood. It's Shorty as in you're short, and I don't mind. Let him have, like, the guy's talented. It's not even like you're giving him wins just to make people happy. The guy really should be getting a couple of W's now and then. I'm telling you, he is the similar height than a lot of wrestlers there. Dayak, I have a Roadmaster Pro. I also have a Electro Voice, I think RE320, no, RE20. But like I said, the only problem is that on Mondays, I have a laptop, and then I'm sure any of you out there, when you have a laptop, now the laptops these days, you use one plug for like microphone and headphone. I'm sure you all know what that is. Back in the day, the older laptops, you'd have a jack for your mic where you talk, and you'd have a jack for what you hear. You have two separate jacks. Now the computers of today, there's only one jack for both. And what happens is because my host is on a regular headset, $30 headset, the input coming in is like an analog signal, and it's not the same bit rate or same quality of mine. So it goes from one wire into my Rodecaster Pro, and then my Rodecaster Pro has to try to, take that audio and match it up with my program and my mic and everything else, and then go out to all of you out there. So, it's not easy. It's not easy. But, I already told my co-host from now on, I'm giving him a link for the program that I use that connects you to me with the video and the audio. And all he's got to do is just click that link, and he's good to go. Discord is history. And, I apologize for the 12 people out there that, aren't, but I will say this. If anybody out there that does want to tune in for audio only, I am setting up Mixler again. So Mixler will likely be active either this Monday or next Monday. So you will still get an audio only option for Mondays live, and downloads. Downloads, you will always have an audio only option. I'm not taking that away from anybody. There's been a little bit of, confusion with that, but I got to make things easy for me. That's really what it is. And the easier things are for me, we don't have this. I did that on purpose. So anyway, we go back to SmackDown. We have, Big E, Miz, little confrontation earlier, and we're going to have a little bit of a match later on. Then we get, the rematch of Big E versus Morrison. Then we get AJ Styles. And we get Joseph Park. And we get Piss. What was that? The phenomenal intercontinental statistic system or survey? I think that's what it was the phenomenal intercontinental statistic system. Joseph Parks is in the back, and he's talking to AJ Styles, and AJ Styles is doing this to him, so you kind of feel like, okay, Joseph Park is going to be on camera in the ring. They come out, they have a board in the ring with a cover over it, and AJ Styles is talking about, who's the best intercontinental champion, and the top contenders and this and that, and they reveal the cover, and they reveal it to be this. And you see Joseph Park's face like, yeah, okay, I don't think so. No, it really wasn't that. Somebody made that for me right before we went live. I had to use it. I thought that was pretty good work on that person's part. But no, basically when he was talking about great Intercontinental champions, the only name that showed up there was AJ Styles. Then you had him showing the top contenders, and it was a blank screen. And this leads to Jeff Hardy's music. Now, there was rumors all week that Jeff Hardy might be taking on... People like that. Yeah, I thought that was pretty good artwork. You know, for last minute, you know, all right, that's a little blocked out. But yeah, I thought that was pretty good. So I did that little pose in case I make it like the banner art for the show. I don't know. I try to like be a little bit more creative. I don't know what you all would. Let me ask you this. When you click on a banner on YouTube, I actually should get more input from all of you out there. When you scroll through videos and you want to click on a banner on YouTube, be honest with me right now. Would you find more enjoyable to look at, or would you be more inclined to click on this if you saw that as the preview, or if you saw something like this? I'm curious. Oh, no, I fucked it up. Let me do it again. Would you rather see this, or would you rather see this? I'm curious, because that's one thing. I don't like clickbaiting or baiting people on social media. You see with the big capital letters and, you know, all this, and it's a lot of it is exaggerated and not true. But I also see these people out there, like last week with Retribution. You see these people that are like, I'm like, how old am I? So I'm curious. All right. It's actually split. A lot of people say one. Maybe I'll do every other day. I'll change it. I can just go back and forth. But, all right, they go to the ring, and they're confronted by Jeff Hardy. And Jeff Hardy is singing loads of praise for AJ Styles. TNA fans, I'm trying to remember this. Did Jeff Hardy ever face AJ Styles in TNA? Trying to remember. But, you know, Jeff Hardy is singing the praise for AJ Styles, got nothing but respect for him, and he challenges AJ Styles for the title. Garth says, yes, they did face each other in TNA. I kind of thought that. I know he faced Sting. Was it Jeff's debut in TNA? By the way, you know what? When we do This Week in Wrestling History, it was either today or maybe yesterday. I'm surprised they didn't talk about it in the promo tonight. Yesterday or today, I'm pretty sure it was yesterday, was the 25th anniversary of Jeff Hardy's debut in the WWE, was the WWF at the time. Yeah, Benjamin, I like that. Thank you for the idea, graphic stuff. But yeah, so Jeff Hardy, I think it was yesterday, it was the 25th anniversary. Does anybody remember his first opponent on WWF TV in 1995? I believe it was Raw. Anybody remember? I'll give him a couple of seconds because it's on a little delay, but it is the anniversary, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Okay, Slammiversary 2004, AJ Styles versus Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy did face AJ Styles for the X Division title. No. Everybody's saying Razor. Wasn't Jeff Hardy's WWE debut against Hunter Hearst Helmsley? I think it was Hunter. If it wasn't Hunter, then it was Razor Ramon, but I think it was Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Or maybe his Raw debut. You know what? It could be his Raw debut against Hunter. That's probably what it is. But still, 25-year anniversary, it's pretty impressive. But, AJ Styles, he's like, does everybody should I accept Jeff Hardy's challenge? Hell no! I think we all knew what that answer was going to be. Okay, so yeah, let's just clear this up quickly. Jeff Hardy's first match ever was against Razor Ramon. I believe his Raw debut was against Hunter Hearst Helmsley. That was 25 years. Okay, now Garth says Jeff Hardy faced a 1-2-3 Kid in his first match in 1994. So this is great. You gotta see on the chat right now. They're like, no, it was Kane. No, it was Razor. No, it was Kane. But I think, yeah. Neil, wait. Whoa. You're saying that Jeff Hardy's WWF debut was June of 1994, and the 25th anniversary of his, I think, Raw debut was a year later? Wow, that's kind of surprising. I'm very surprised. But, yeah, okay. And it is confirmed AJ Styles was Jeff Hardy's debut opponent in TNA. So, all right, it's cool. But, the only thing I didn't like about this segment was that when Jeff Hardy challenged him, I wanted to hear SummerSlam in there as well. So, next Friday, we're getting that match. And, I think it's going to end in a schmaz. I'm going to go the same route that I went with Matt Riddle. I think that match could end abruptly for some reason. Maybe somebody cheats or something happens, and this leads to a rematch at SummerSlam. Only problem with that is you made it for the title next week. So if you're not doing a title change, that means Jeff Hardy probably loses, unless AJ gets disqualified. Then if it goes to SummerSlam and you're not giving Jeff Hardy the belt either at SummerSlam, that means Jeff Hardy loses a second time in 3 days, or there's a bullshit finish. Oh, I cursed! Damn it! How long did I go? An hour and 25 minutes. All right, we're getting there. Damn, and I caught it too. My apologies, everyone. I wanted to be the first episode ever that I didn't curse. There's reasons behind it. There's definitely reasons behind it. I'm a sinner. I cursed. Damn you. Damn it. So anyway, after Jeff Hardy goes fisticuffs with AJ Styles for a little bit, setting up the match for next week, it was hilarious because Jeff Hardy takes the marker and he writes his name on there. And they go to commercial and they come back and AJ Styles is in the back and he's doing everything possible. Jeff, I'll be honest with you, this actually may have worked for you, seriously, but Jeff Hardy used a permanent marker. So you got Jeff Hardy, AJ Styles doing everything, trying to get the marker off the board, and you got Joseph Park with this look on his face. I should have took a screenshot of it and shared it with everybody here. It was so funny. I personally think if WWE, they're not going to watch or listen to me. But all of you out there, if you want to see more of AJ Styles and Joseph Park doing segments on TV together, you got to start writing it on social media. You got to start hashtagging WWE in there as well. I don't like over-the-top comedy all of the time. But like I said earlier, Shayna Baszler and R-Truth, there's something a little special there, Joseph Park and AJ Styles, even though they worked for each other, I think Joseph Park, as an on-air character, could be comedy gold since WWE is going to use comedy. I'd rather it be from him than the Viking Raiders. Oh, you're cute. You? Not so much. Who would you rather do it from? So, yeah, I'm serious. AJ Styles and Joseph Park, that I thought was phenomenal. Phenomenal. Yes, pun intended. By the way, what the heck is this? Gentilon James got a raise at work today between his legs. Oh! You wise ass. Hey, good for you, man. Good for you. He got probably, I got a rise out of that. you know. But and you know, since we were talking about, you know, the stronger, big women, tough women in WWE, Neil Ray says Raw Underground will help Tamina a lot. Yes, I said that last week. Tamina, Shayna Baszler. I wrote Lashley on YouTube an hour and a half before they showed up at Raw Underground. Raw Underground, you already see it. You got Yabba Dabba Kato, you know, you got him. He's gonna branch out. I think Arturo Ruas, I think his name is, he's gonna branch out. I'm telling you. Baszler, that is going to help. You know, this tweet from Ken Shamrock, you know, oh, you want pointers, contact me. I think Ken Shamrock is under contract with Impact Wrestling. I don't even think Ken Shamrock could show up there, even if he wanted to. Plus, I don't know if WWE didn't want Ken Shamrock when he was not under contract. Now you think they would want him, even he's under Impact contract? But I will tell you, Ken Shamrock has not done bad in Impact. You know, this is probably his swan song. He doesn't have much time left in the ring. But Benjamin is saying that SmackDown was TV-14. Well, you want to know something, Benjamin? I'll be honest with you. And I will bet. I'll bet you. Seriously. You know what? We don't have... No, you're not a Corbin fan. I'll bet you $1. I'll bet you $1. You know, like Trading Place. I'll bet you $1 that we find out that WWE, because I can imagine already, seriously, you know this is going to happen. In fact, when I'm done, it's probably the first thing I'm going to see on social media. WWE's bringing back Attitude. It was TV-14. They're bringing back No, you know what I think happened? And I will bet the ranch I'm right on this. I think Fox got a copy of SmackDown. They always review the footage first. All networks do that. And after they saw that, they felt that it should have a TV-14 rating. This is not WWE suddenly doing TV-14. This is not them bringing back Attitude. I think this is similar. No, I don't even think it was Braun dropping Alexa Bliss, because what is worse, Braun dropping Alexa Bliss or Alexa Bliss getting choked out from The Fiend? I personally think between the Antifa storyline stuff and maybe a little bit of physicality with Alexa Bliss, I think those two, I think the network felt we got to put a TV-14 on this. And you know what stinks about that? And pay attention to this. What stinks about that is, you think Fox on 8 o'clock Friday night is now going to tell WWE, go ahead, do TV-14. You're going to have a lot of parents angry that WWE is now doing TV-14 content. So don't get your hopes up. We're going to find out that Fox felt that some of the content on the show was more appropriate for someone 14 years old and older. And why does that stink? Because WWE did not know they were getting the TV-14 rating probably until today. WWE going forward is not going to keep pushing the envelope. They're going to put their tail between their legs, and they're going to tone back a little bit so it's more PG. So that's what I think is going to be. I'm telling you, all my years of doing this, I'm usually right on a lot of the stuff that I say, and this is not WWE suddenly change. They'd have to answer to advertisers, they'd have to answer to parents, they'd have to answer to so many people out there. No. You know, Raw Underground, I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of controversy about the women. You know, Madusa was angry about having women dancing like that. I wasn't even going to bring it up, but, when I saw her tweet, my first comment was, and I'm a huge Madusa fan. I'm like, Madusa, you do know at Bash at the Beach for AEW, they had, women in bikinis, so really what was the difference? The way they move their hips. But Liv Morgan, tweeted that, where's the women this week? Not every, women are attracted to other women. They don't have to be gay or bisexual either. My friend, used to work in a strip club. And a lot of you probably remember her, Dana Damison. I haven't talked to her in years, but one night, she and we went to a sports bar together, and then we went to where she worked. It was a strip club in Jersey. And walked into the strip club, and she was introducing me to all the workers. Everybody really, really nice. Beautiful place, too. In fact, I thought the same place was on an episode of Forensic Files. No joke. But when I walked into that place, what I always remember from it was the amount of women who were with men sitting at tables, just taking it in and enjoying it. So, so women appreciating the beauty and the sexiness in dancers, it's not sacrilegious to have a couple of girls dancing, nothing wrong with that. But I can understand why some people wouldn't like it. But don't think that WWE is now going TV-14. This was Fox doing it. And WWE, oh, sorry. Oh, we'll pull it back a little bit. Sorry. Don't be surprised if more of the Retribution stuff is mostly on Mondays and very watered down on Fridays. We'll see. Maybe it was more the Alexa Bliss Braun stuff, which I really find hard to believe. Braun just had her lifted in the air, and he dropped her. That's TV-14. Blowing up stuff and setting things on fire and and using chainsaws is okay. But picking up someone and dropping them, I don't believe it. So, Roberto says, DT, other fans did contribute, but you don't show them. Show what? I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, by the way, did you get my bobblehead? I sent it out to you, I think Monday or Tuesday. Did you get my box? I don't think I was able to put a mug in there too, because I thought I was in danger of breaking. But let me know if you got that package, man. I sent it out to you earlier this week. Oh, you did? A thank you would have been nice. Kidding. Enjoy it, my friend. So, somebody with the Escobar. Oh, that is me. Oh, you see, now I'm screwed up. Escobar has raised the value of his title like no one. Santos Escobar is doing a fine job on NXT. Definitely doing the right thing with them. Mixing Fandango and Isaiah Swerve Scott with it kind of shows you that he's doing great. What do we do with him? They tried to do a little bit with Drake Maverick. That fizzled out quickly. I don't know what's going on with Jake Atlas. He shows up once in a while. But I don't know. But I love what they're doing with Santos Escobar. I see people talking about NXT. Oh, my favorite. And I very rarely see anybody include Santos Escobar on that list. Definitely doing a good deal on there. So now we got the Lucha House Party, Nakamura and Cesaro. Now, wasn't it recently that the Lucha House Party won some type of tag match on SmackDown that gave them a shot against Cesaro and Nakamura, and they lost? So now, in order to get them, or they may have fought a non-title match and lost. So now they have to steal the belts to turn it into a storyline. Now, I don't mind it at all, and Kalisto is back, and Kalisto looks cut, looks in shape. I have, definitely professed my dislike for Kalisto over the years. It's nothing personal, but I was never a Kalisto fan. But let's be honest, he looks great. And I don't mind, little goofiness with stealing the titles. But this, to me, just feels like, okay, we don't want the Lucha House Party to really go on a roll and win and impress and win and impress and win and impress and win, because WWE's never really invested. I mean, you would get little spurts. They tried to make Gran Metalik a worthy contender for AJ Styles, and we all thought the match was great, but nobody out there thought that there was any chance AJ Styles was losing that belt. So I'm not feeling the Lucha House Party against Cesaro and Nakamura. It feels like, oh, they stole the belts as a way to be an antagonist, piss off Cesaro and Nakamura in storyline. Then we end up having a match, and Gran Metalik defeats Nakamura. Now, there was a little bit of interference because you had the other two members of the Lucha House Party going at it with Cesaro, and, Gran Metalik gets sort of a, I don't want to say a fluke win, but, not a straight-up clean victory. But this is probably to set up a title match between both tag teams. I don't know, but I'm just not feeling it. And it makes you wonder, where's Heavy Machinery? Like, I know they're doing skits and everything, but where are they on the food chain of the tag team division? I read this week that Killian Dane and Danny Burch, did you see that ridiculous report that they were supposed to be on SmackDown last week, but then they were pulled and they thought that it was about COVID, but then they're on NXT? And I'm like, which one is it? But you look at the tag team division on SmackDown, they're spending an awful lot of weeks building pretty much to nothing. That's what it feels like. Shorty G interrupting Matt Riddle's promo in the back, trying to play off that he apologizes to Matt Riddle for what he did trying to collect the bounty, just to have King Corbin attack Matt Riddle from behind. I think this is going to lead to a match at SummerSlam. It is what it is. I don't mind Matt Riddle versus Corbin as long as Matt Riddle gets the win and we move on. Quickly move on. Let there be some type of screw up between Shorty G and King Corbin, and then then maybe that leads them having a match after SummerSlam. Remember, a lot of people seem to forget, there's another pay-per-view a week after Payback. Remember that. Busy week. Technically, don't we have four we have three pay-per-views in a matter of a week. You have NXT TakeOver 30, SummerSlam, and Payback. And then shortly after that, you have AEW, All Out. So you got four pay-per-views in a very short period of time. So, Anthony Diaz, what's up, my friend? What's going on? Actually had a pretty decent day today. Very stressful at work. But, trying to unwind for the weekend. It's going to be kind of crazy tomorrow because it's supposed to be game night, and I'm actually going to the parents' house. We're getting into the middle of August, so got to enjoy the pool as much as possible. And plus, I'm taking the girl over there. She's only been there once for the last couple of months. A little paranoid about COVID and stuff like that. So, getting back to SmackDown, we have the Alexa Bliss interview. And basically she was asked a couple of questions about Braun, about The Fiend, and they keep showing highlights. First they showed highlights of Alexa Bliss and Braun over the last couple of years, the Mixed Match Challenge, them riding in the car and other stuff. And, there was a question, did you think there would ever be, like a relationship? Which, to me, I know some people joked about it before, but, it never felt like there was anything like that there. Then they talked a little bit about The Fiend, and she said that it's almost like a moth attracted to light, that you almost feel drawn to it. And, she kind of teased that, she's a little maybe drawn to The Fiend and she understands a little bit. She had a little interaction with Nikki Cross earlier, like I said, and, she was distant to Nikki Cross, but she wasn't acting weird. But she demanded answers later on from Braun Strowman. And, you know, when they played the clip of Braun saying, I don't care, give a damn about Alexa Bliss. That's not how he talks. He doesn't sound like a Southern hick. It's a little late over here. But she said, Braun cared about me, and I cared about him a lot. But as we saw later on, it kind of feels like, you know, tides are turning. When SmackDown was over, who did you feel was more of a heel? The Fiend or Braun Strowman? I ask you that question. Earlier in the night, Mandy Rose cuts a promo, you know, her hair a little bit shorter. And she talks about how Sonya DeVille, you know, wants to show how disgusting Mandy Rose is on the inside and on the outside. And Mandy Rose is pretty much acting like hair is superficial. But she challenges Sonya Deville to a hair versus hair match at SummerSlam. And Sonya Deville later on the night accepts it. And as I said earlier, I just picture it with my eyes closed. You could go two different ways with it. To me, Sonya Deville bald or crew cut, I actually think would work better. But I tell you, it's very intriguing. Remember what I said Monday, and I brought it up earlier. Remember it. There's going to be at least 4, 5, or even 6 different times, different matches at SummerSlam where you could truthfully say, you never saw it coming. You know, when they use that line. So I'm curious. Rich, it has nothing to do with Sonya Deville's sexuality. Zero to do with it at all. Sonya Deville, like I said, she likes to wear the sport caps, and I could see it more as a comic storyline where maybe she wears a wig or she wears a hat, and maybe Otis knocks it off. You could see a lot of that going. And I think right now, you know, a little bit of lighthearted content is probably the best medicine for a lot of people out there. So I could see more. That's why Kurt Angle, as a heel, got his head shaved. That's why, well, Big Show, didn't he get a cut in Ohio Valley Wrestling or something like that? But CM Punk, heel. Raven, heel. When he fought, Larry? You know, a lot of wrestlers who lost hair versus hair matches are usually a heel. So it has zero to do with sexuality, but more of character and storyline. So we find out next week, Jeff Hardy versus AJ Styles. We have Big E versus Morrison. The match that opened SmackDown was the last match on SmackDown. A decent match. Oh, Molly Holly. Sure, there's quite a few, you know, if you really think about it. Vince McMahon. Trying to think. There's many. Oh, This Week in Wrestling History. Oh, we got to speed this up. This Week in Wrestling History. We got to cover that. So there's actually a hair versus hair match on there as well that happened this week in history. One that you probably all forgot about too. So Big E versus Morrison, decent match. You know, nothing really noteworthy coming out of it. Miz on commentary, and you know they're talking more of like, you know, that you don't tweet Retribution and, you know, ripping Big E and others. You know, you don't rock the cradle or shake the cradle of someone you don't know anything about. You know, and they're basically going back and forth with Big E and Morrison and Retribution and other stuff. But in the end, you know, Big E gets another win. I don't like what they've been doing with Morrison. I mean, I'm fine with the skits with the Miz and everything, but you know, there's potential of some unbelievably good matches, and it feels like WWE is, you know, just more concerned of using him to put other people over. You know, I'm not feeling what they're doing with Morrison the last couple of months. Look what they did with him and Braun Strowman. The skits were funny, and you expected Braun to get a little revenge, but, Morrison is the one that keeps giving it and giving it and giving it. That's WWE's fault. So then we had the closing segment, Alexa Bliss. She wants, answers. Braun Strowman comes out, and Braun Strowman is basically telling her, get out of my ring. He wants the Fiend, get out of my face, get out of my face. And as I said earlier, it almost feels like they're going in the direction of Braun Strowman being the heel and the Fiend being the babyface. It's what it feels like a lot. And Alexa Bliss is basically saying to Braun, snap out of it. She's slapping him in the face over and over and over again. And Braun has got that look on his face that he's liking it. He wants the Fiend. He doesn't care about anything else but the Fiend. So he gets one smack too many. He picks up Alexa Bliss. A couple of times it felt like his arms were getting a little bit shaky. That's why he kept putting her down and bringing her back up. You get that little contraction, go like this for a while, hold something up, and you'll just, and then you do this. That's what that was. But he picked up Alexa Bliss, held her up there, wants the Fiend. The lights start going out a little bit. The lights actually went out a little bit in Big E versus Morrison's match, but this time it was the Fiend's entrance. And almost like what they did on Monday, right before Randy Orton punted, or maybe didn't, Ric Flair. Maybe that's a swerve. You didn't see it coming. But right when Braun was dropping Alexa Bliss, the lights go out. Braun rolls under the ring. We get a little pre-recorded on the Titantron or whatever you're calling it. Braun just laughing. Sadistic laugh. And the Fiend is looking like a little bit baffled. But then you had loads of laughter. Braun's laughing. The Fiend is laughing. And I'm laughing. And that's how we go off the air. Not a bad show, man. Not a bad show. Just that Retribution stuff, they really need to go in a different direction and quickly. To boast security, and then nobody, the Retribution has that many people hit the ring that quickly. It's goofy, in my opinion. Very goofy. So, let's see. Get into a couple of tidbits of news. AEW has released Jimmy Havoc, Sadie Gibbs, and Bea Priestley. We know about the behavioral issues with Jimmy Havoc. There was a little bit of controversy with Bea Priestley. But the fact of the matter is all three are from the UK, especially what's still going on with COVID. And, contracts were signed. A lot of contracts were signed 1 year ago. And I think what's happening now is AEW has some contracts that are coming up, and they have to make decisions. It's funny because a lot of people, let's be honest, a lot of people who are big-time AEW fans that ripped WWE for releasing people during COVID. Now Tony Khan said, we're in the middle of COVID. We have to cut down a little bit of expenses. They're signing other people, obviously, but it just makes smart business sense. Use people more that are locally than bringing people in, flying in from the UK, expenses, and then you can't have people come in because they're stuck overseas for, X amount of months. So I have no problem whatsoever with AEW releasing anyone. Just like I had no problem with WWE releasing people during COVID. Nobody wants to see anybody out of a job. But it was smart business for WWE because they're not touring, because they don't need that many people under contract. And you don't keep people under contract because other competitors who are 1/1000th the worth you aren't releasing anyone. Tell that to your stockholders. Just imagine an investor saying, how come you haven't released anyone and you're not using 30, 40, 50 wrestlers right now because of COVID? How come you not release it? Well, because New Japan hasn't, Ring of Honor hasn't. Never. You watch those investors all sell their stock and start laughing their butts off. You don't do it because social media is in an outrage. Social media is jealous because Fozzy performed in South Dakota. So I had no problem with it. So, very quickly, I teased this earlier. You see this woman? She's 26 years old. She has the Guinness World Record of the smallest human being. 2 feet, 1 inches. Why am I bringing her up? And what does this have to do with WWE? Probably this photo would be the best description of it. Erick Rowan did an interview a couple of days ago, and the topic of that ridiculous spider storyline came up. And he revealed that he had pitched to WWE the idea of bringing that woman in. Her name is Jyoti Amge. She's, I believe, Indian. She's the world's smallest woman. You might have seen her from American Horror Story. He wanted to bring her in and have her be inside the cage. Now, obviously, if you remember the cage was this way, so she'd be laying on her back. They would have used a different cage, obviously. But that's what he pitched for WWE, to have the cage be revealed to be her. And I think it's interesting. He also pitched an idea that there would be nothing in the cage and people would be seeing like their biggest fear, so they would freak out by it, which I think is kind of stupid also. But, you know, I do agree with him that to have all that buildup just to have that revealed to be a battery operated or a remote USB charged spider was ridiculously bad. That was god awful bad. But yeah, I figured I'd share with everybody out there. You know, that is, you know, very interesting. The only problem is I don't know where she lives. So if she didn't live anywhere nearby, what do you do? I mean, where do you keep her? I mean, you keep her on your dresser in a cage? I mean, you know, what do you do? And I'm not saying this to be funny, but, you know, if you have someone who's 2 feet tall in your house or in your apartment, I mean, you have to have like a whole bunch of step ladders nearby and pillows in case she falls over. But how do you like reach anything? You know, how do you even pee? Seriously. Wouldn't she fall? I'm not trying to be funny, but wouldn't she fall in the toilet? What do? You squat in a Dixie cup? I'm just saying, like, it's a lot more difficult than it sounds, to be honest with you. But I tell you, you got to give Erick Rowan, you know, A for effort, you know. So getting back to the releases, Philip Maffey, the longer this COVID situation goes on, do we see WWE releasing a few more people? Yeah, I do. Maybe not too many, but I there's a few names on my mind. I don't like bringing up names because, you know, you don't want to see anybody out of work, but I definitely could see a few names being brought up. Absolutely. Do I think WWE should drop the Retribution angle like they dropped that? Oh, no. This is getting a lot of buzz. Not the good buzz, but it's getting a lot of buzz. So I say, you know, you keep it going, but you have to probably expedite a little bit of the reveal. Not this tease on Twitters or Instagrams. It's got to expedite on television. Maybe you do something at SummerSlam. And maybe that leads to something on Payback. Wouldn't be surprised if Retribution has a big factor on Payback. Now, would it be too fast to have them have a match? Probably. But we got to find out about this TV-14 stuff that happened today. Seriously. Because I think that was not WWE's intention. And Fox is not going to allow that week after week after week. Absolutely not. They're not looking to put TV-14 at 8 p.m. on a Friday night. No way, shape, or form. So before I wrap up a couple other news tidbits, let's get into this week in wrestling history. I'm going to go through these super, super fast because really all I'm doing is bringing to your attention moments that happen this week in history. And you go seek it out if you want to enjoy some of these moments. Absolutely. And, everything that I posted on here, there's a lot of other things I could have posted as well, but I wanted to just really focus on these. Now, the first one, I'm sorry if I'm going to disturb anybody out there or if I'm going to get anybody upset, but I'm sure all of you remember the Trust Me storyline where the Ultimate Warrior was going to feud with The Undertaker. Jake the Snake Roberts was going to have helped the Ultimate Warrior and basically confront his demons, and this way he could face the Undertaker. And Jake the Snake Roberts put the Ultimate Warrior in a coffin, wanted him to embrace, the claustrophobic of being in the coffin. He had the Ultimate Warrior in a cemetery. Then they did a segment where the Ultimate Warrior was locked in a room with snakes. And Ultimate Warrior is freaking out. A snake bites him. And I know I'm uber going through this fast, but it was this week when they finished up that storyline and we had to swerve, 1991, when as the Ultimate Warrior was passing out from the venom, Jake the Snake Roberts basically tells him, never trust a snake. And right before the Ultimate Warrior passes out, you see 2 feet approach the Ultimate Warrior, and it's the Undertaker, just the gong. And he looks up, and you see the Undertaker, and all I remember is Paul Bearer going. I freaking love that storyline. But what I did a couple of years ago out of boredom was I always felt that there was if you listen to that skit, the final skit with Jake the Snake and the Ultimate Warrior, how the Ultimate Warrior was screaming in pain, I always thought there was a little bit of a sexual overtone with it. Not intentional, but I always thought it was comical. And what I did a couple of years ago was I twisted and we're going to go a little over time today, everybody. But what I did was I twisted the audio of Jake the Snake and the Ultimate Warrior. And I took some clips and I put it out of place and I put it together and I came up with my version of what that segment was that night. So I'm sorry if this is uber corny, but I figured I'd share with everyone. If you go back and if you remember that segment with the Ultimate Warrior and Jake the Snake Roberts with the snakes, if you twist around the words a little bit, you get something like this.
Now we've gotten to the place that holds it all, brother. You've trusted me to this point. You've reached out and you've given me your hand and you've believed in me. You opened your soul and let me have it. Reach in there, grab him by the throat and let him give you the answer.
The trust I had before did me no wrong. The Ultimate Warrior has no fear.
It's coming.
Let me in.
Stand back, my man. Learn to live. Learn to slide in, my man. Now, come on, let's get to the center of the room, brother.
Nothing of this, Snake Man.
Oh, come on, it's part of what you've been through.
I even added sound effects.
Trust me, go to the center of the room.
Snake Man.
Where it all is at, man. Come on. But you gotta get closer to see the answer. It's inside. I promise. I swear to you, warrior. And all I believe, it's there.
What is it, Snake Man?
Oh, maybe I'll shed a little light on the subject for you there, big guy. What do you think about that, warrior? Just a little skin prick, nothing that'll hurt you. Oh, it's not what the doctor ordered, is it? No. Is the heartbeat a little faster? Is your blood pumping, warrior? Take care of yourself. Relax, I've told you. Getting a little sick now, huh? Come on. Oh, yeah, that's nice, huh? Come on, don't you give up. No, it's not over yet. Come on, warrior, fight all you want. Fight all you want, warrior. There's nothing left to give me, is there? drop, Warrior. Oh, goodbye, cool.
Why does this sound like the wrong one?
Goodbye, Warrior.
I think this is the wrong one.
Oh, yeah. That's what happens to all good.
I think that's the wrong one. Believe it or not, I think that's the regular version. Damn, I think I kind of screwed up over here. I don't know if I have it in this computer. I used to. We may have to play that next week. I used to have it. I think I played the actual version. I twisted all the words around. I made a zipper sound, and it sounded like Jake the Snake Roberts was having himself with the Warrior. I'm looking. I don't see it. I'm going to have to share it next week. Trust me, it's worth it. Trust me. Yeah, I just realized that I shared the wrong one. And you know what? Still, if you listen to that one, that actually kind of, but no, trust me. I play it next week. In fact, we'll probably even open up with it. Oh, man. I'm listening to it. I'm like, where's the zipper sound effects and everything? I brought the wrong one. I'm sorry. But still, it happened this week in 91. So, yeah, we're on a roll. All right, let's get back to this. All right. Oh, you know what? The second one, you see The Rock sitting next to President George Bush, the first, the elder. Now, the reason why I'm putting this back over here is because, believe it or not, it was this week in 2000. You want to see Bizarro Land? It was this week in 2000. WWE was trying to push the idea of having wrestling fans sign up to vote. So they were showing up not only at the Republican National Convention, they were showing up at the Democrat National Convention. And I am pretty positive, I'm still trying to get the video of it, and I will, because I do have an account with C-SPAN. I want to get the video. Linda McMahon was at the Democratic National Convention. Now, you think about Linda McMahon being a Republican and she worked for Trump. She actually, in 2000, was at the Democratic National Convention. The Rock was at the Republican National Convention. Now, this is 2000. The Rock was pretty big in 2000 as far as wrestling fans go. But in case you never saw this, and believe it or not, I own a licensed copy of this footage, so I am allowed to share it. You will not find this on YouTube. It's only about 3 minutes long, but I figured I'd share with you. It was this week in 2000, we had this go down at the Republican National Convention. Remember, it was George Bush, the son, versus Al Gore. That was a presidential election in 2000. This happened.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the People's Superstar of the World Wrestling Federation, The Rock.
If you smell what The Rock is cooking. The Rock says,
now let The Rock get this straight. You invited The Rock, the World Wrestling Federation champion, to speak at the Republican National Convention? Well, The Rock says this: what's the matter with you people? If The Rock didn't know any better, he'd say you might be trying to reach out to all The Rock's fans, the 14 million eligible voters who watch The Rock every single week. Well, if that's the case, then The Rock has 2 words for you. Thank you. Thank you on behalf of all our fans fans across America, and thank you for recognizing the passion and the potential power of those fans, who will no doubt help elect the next President of the United States.
Notice how he didn't say Bush. I thought that was interesting. He never even said George Bush when he said elect the next president of the United States. So, you know, it was a little interesting. I gotta put the footage of Linda McMahon at the Democratic National Convention. I'll get it. I'll definitely get it. So, anyway, let's get back to this list because we want to go through it a little bit. Now, next on the list, obviously, doesn't matter how old you are. You know about the infamous incident with the Shockmaster. It was Clash of the Champions 24 from Daytona Beach, Florida. And, you know, Sting was teasing a debut. And if you remember, Ric Flair was there, Booker T, Stevie Ray, the Shockmaster debuts. I think Ole Anderson was on the mic. And he trips, he falls, his Stormtrooper Star Wars helmet falls off as well, and it was revealed to be Fred Ottman, who you knew as Tugboat and Typhoon. One of the biggest wrestle crap moments, botchamania moments in the history of pro wrestling. That happened this week in 1993. It was this week as well. We had that infamous SummerSlam match with Hulk Hogan and Shawn Michaels. You might remember I talked recently about the skit of Shawn Michaels doing Larry King Live and making fun of the Hulkster. If you've never seen the SummerSlam match between Hogan and Shawn Michaels, go out of your way and watch it just to see the grossly overselling that Shawn Michaels was doing for Hogan. It was an entertaining match, but you realize Shawn Michaels absolutely did not like being in the ring with Hogan and having to sell the way he did. It was so over the top. You gotta, if you've never seen it, I'll be shocked if you've never seen it, but go out of your way to check it out. And that's why I have that cereal box on there that says Hogan Berry Crunch, and it's HBK in there, because a lot of people felt Hogan shouldn't have gotten over the way he did. Now we go to the second column that Jake Roberts, Ultimate Warrior, was part of before. My apologies again for bringing the wrong promo. Next week I'll share it. It'll be worth the wait. Some of you have heard it already. It was this week in 2000 on Monday Nitro that Lance Storm decided to not only rename the Hardcore title, the Saskatchewan Hardcore International title, which stands for shit, but he also gave two of his titles away. He gave Elix Skipper the Cruiserweight Championship, and he gave Carl Ouellet, who you now know as PCO. He gave him the shit title. So yeah, it was this week in 2000 that Lance Storm gave away two of his belts. Oh, there's more from 2000 in WCW. We'll get to it in a little bit. You see it on the far right. I see some fat lady on a forklift. Ridiculous Goofs Online wrote today, it was this week in history, Judy Bagwell on a pole. That in itself should show you why I pay no attention to people with websites trying to do history stuff. All they do is cut and paste. They don't watch it. They don't review it. And the Judy Bagwell is one of the most infamous ones. And you had all of these ridiculous goofs today writing Judy Bagwell on a pole. There was no pole involved in that match. It was a forklift. There was a reason for it to be a forklift. But anyway, underneath Lance Storm and Team Canada, you have Vince McMahon over there. Why am I showing him? We all know about Mr. McMahon, 1997, kind of turning heel, and he even did some stuff in Memphis around that time too. A lot of people don't know that back in 1993, before it was even ever revealed on TV of Vince McMahon being anything but an announcer, Vince McMahon doing a little bit of work with Memphis, Jerry Lawler coming to the WWF, Jerry Lawler still involved with Memphis, doing a little bit of talent exchange, I guess you could kind of call it. Lex Luger and Yokozuna, we thought Lex Luger was going to win the championship. It didn't happen. The Lex Express, they actually had a match in Memphis as a trial run before they faced at SummerSlam. A lot of people don't know that. Bret the Hitman Hart was still a babyface, but when he went to Memphis in 93, he was a heel. Vince McMahon was cutting promos on Memphis television for the USWA in 1993 as a full-blown heel. Vince McMahon was never a heel. He was just an announcer as far as everybody was concerned in 1993 in the WWF. So if you want to see a tease of Mr. McMahon years before he ever turned heel, you got to go seek it out. Go on YouTube. Just type in Mick Memphis, McMemphis, Mick Memphis, Vince McMahon. It was this week in 93 that he turned heel and everything was going on in USWA. It's awesome footage. I got to get my hands on some really good copies of it. It is well worth checking out, trust me. Also this week, 1995, I mentioned Jeff Hardy earlier, facing Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley. It was also the same night that Goldust had his first ever vignette coming to the WWF. This week in 1995, first ever vignette for Goldust. This week in 1997, I told you last week, The Rock joined the Nation of Domination. This week in 97, The Rock's infamous promo talking about fans having signs that say, "Die, Rocky, die." And that's how that all ended up, with the Nation of Domination. I mean, the rest of it is history. Let's make this a little clearer so everybody could see it. There we go. That's a little bit better. So yeah, Die, Rocky, die. That happened this week, 1997. And a few other moments this week in 97 coming up. Next, we have CM Punk and Kevin Nash on top. 2011, we had SummerSlam. Originally, CM Punk defeated John Cena in a title match to win the undisputed WWE Championship. Triple H special guest referee. However, Alberto Del Rio cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase and beat CM Punk due to interference from Kevin Nash. And then the next night on Raw, which also happened this week in history, that is when CM Punk got on the mic and verbally destroyed Kevin Nash. He's like, "Oh my God, WTF, Kevin Nash, what the hell? I thought he was dead." He just handed him his ass, and Kevin Nash did an interview, I think on YouShoot or some interview, and he talked about how CM Punk was just handing him his ass in promos, and he was so strapped, Kevin Nash, as far as what he could say and what he could do. No, you can't say that. No, you can't do that. No, you can't say that. And it really it bombed. I mean, if you remember that storyline, the stuff with Kevin Nash and CM Punk was very confusing. You didn't see it coming. It was just very, very confusing at that time. But it did happen this week in history. Next, we have Alberto Del Rio, who was this week in 2010. He made his WWE TV debut, showed up on SmackDown. And believe it or not, it was this week in 2016 that I believe Del Rio had his last match ever in the WWE. He lost to John Cena. Why is The Undertaker there with blood on him? It was this week in 1997. It was The Undertaker and Mankind beating Hunter Hearst Helmsley and Shawn Michaels by DQ. After the match was over, Undertaker was busted open from a chair shot. And why it's so momentous is because this was the first time ever that The Undertaker bled in the WWF. This week in 1997. I bet you a lot of people did not know that. This week in 2004, Randy Orton became the youngest heavyweight champion of all time, 24 years old, beating Chris Benoit to win the title. The following night on Raw, he beat Chris Benoit again to retain the title. After the match was over, Evolution celebrating. Randy Orton on Batista's shoulders. Triple H goes in the ring, originally gives Randy Orton a thumbs up. Then he gives him the thumbs down and instructs Batista to drop him. And that was the babyface turn of Randy Orton, but would not last all that long. Randy Orton is better as a heel. I think we all agree on that. 1996, this week in history, SummerSlam, we had the infamous Boiler Room Brawl match between The Undertaker and Mankind. Next, 2005, Ashley Mazzaro, God rest her soul. She won the 2005 Raw Diva Search and $250,000. That's already 15 years ago. Unbelievable. Next on the list, 2016, Brock Lesnar, the infamous segment, in the ring with Heath Slater. It is 4 years already, everyone. Heath Slater's got kids. They're almost grown up at this point. He's got kids. Brock Lesnar don't give a shit about his kids. This week, 2016. This week in 2003, Kevin Nash and Chris Jericho had a hair versus hair match on Monday Night Raw, and Kevin Nash lost. Happened this week in 2003. Something you probably forgot about. Now, this is interesting. I remember this too. I tried so hard to get the original footage. I'm still working on it. Trust me, I have sources. I just keep forgetting to follow up on them. It was this week in 1995, WCW held a press conference in New York City. In fact, it was yesterday. It was 25 years ago yesterday that WCW was in New York City at the Harley-Davidson Cafe, and they announced the debut of a new TNT show called Monday Nitro that would debut, and Steve Mongo McMichael would be one of the announcers. And you see there Randy Savage, Sting, Eric Bischoff, Mongo, Hogan. I don't remember who the guy was in the middle, probably somebody from TNT. But believe it or not, that press conference always wanted to get that. Always wanted to get that footage. Had like 2-3 minutes of it one time. I don't know what I did with it, but that happened this week in 1995. And just so you know, the same time they had introduced us to an upcoming show, Nitro, WCW was looking to sign some talent to feature on Nitro. This same week, they were in New York City announcing the Nitro deal on TNT. That same week, they signed Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, and Sabu to contracts for WCW. Sabu obviously was only there for, I think, 5 appearances. The infamous Fireball, you know, that kind of got him in trouble. But Sabu was more on like a show-by-show basis, but still, they signed him to work some deal. But Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko obviously had the longer contract, and then they would exit ECW and then go to WCW. So that all happened this week in 1995. Next on the list, there you go. Judy Bagwell on a forklift, not a goddamn pole, Nimrods. If you're going to cover history, if you're going to report history, at least cover it. At least do your research. One person cuts and pastes the wrong thing and everybody follows. New Blood Rising was the pay-per-view this week in 2000. Still one of the worst pay-per-views of all time. Not only did it happen in Canada, not that there's anything wrong in Canada, but apparently all the matches were no DQ. Nobody had ever said it publicly. The matches from that night, 3 count with Tank Abbott in their corner, defeated the Young Dragons. Ernest the Cat Miller defeated the Great Muta. Don't ask why. Buff Bagwell over Canyon with the Judy Bagwell on a forklift match. Chronic over the Perfect Event of Sean Stasiak and Chuck Palumbo. Sean O'Hare, Mark Jindrak. General Erection and Corporal Cajun. It was a 4 corners match for the tag titles. And you had Disco, Tigress, Rey Mysterio Jr., and Hoovy as special guest referees. I kid you not. Billy Kidman beat Shane Douglas in a strap match. Miss Hancock, Stacy Keibler, lost to Major Guns in a mud rip-off the clothes match. Sting over the Demon in 50 seconds. Lance Storm over Mike Awesome. And that was the Canadian rules match. Remember, Lance Storm kept changing the rules. It's not a 3 count, it's a 5 count. First man on his feet wins. No, so they just kept changing and changing. It was not good. Canadian fans enjoyed it. Everybody else didn't. The Dark Carnival of Vampiro and the Great Muta defeated Chronic to win the tag titles. Remember, earlier in the night, Muta wrestled, Chronic wrestled. So they had a match later on, and they lost tag titles. Main event, Kevin Nash defeated Goldberg and Scott Steiner. That is the infamous match where Kevin Nash had Goldberg in the jackknife powerbomb, and Goldberg just pushed him away, walked off, and left. Vince Russo came out, started screaming at Goldberg. Goldberg audibly, and you could see him say, "Fuck you." Second curse for tonight, but I'm covering news. And walked off. A lot of people thought that was a shoot at the time, but that was more storyline than anything else. Goldberg had been out with injury, and, they tried to play. You remember, when Tony Schiavone, I think, said, this is not part of the script. They were trying to do that at the time, and it was failing miserably. So there you go. And the main event was Booker T beating Jeff Jarrett to retain the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. 1997, ECW had Hardcore Heaven 97. And the reason why I'm bringing this up was we all remember the infamous storyline, Jerry Lawler showing up at the ECW arena. Jerry Lawler had his one and only match that night at Hardcore Heaven 97. Dreamer beat him. Jake the Snake Roberts made his one and only ECW appearance as well. So if you've never seen it, you could see it on YouTube. Go watch that match, and you'll see Jake Roberts and Jerry Lawler in ECW. And there's some other good matches on that night as well. Dudley's over PG-13. Shane Douglas beating Sabu and Terry Funk and the three-way dance to win the title. Sabu had won it a couple of weeks earlier from Born to Be Wired. 2006, a year after Ashley Mazzaro won it, Layla wins the 2006 Raw Diva Search. So there you go. 1998, I don't care what Bischoff says. I don't care what people who like to ride bandwagon say. I loved it. I still watch it. I get goosebumps sometimes. It was this week in 1998 that the Warrior made his WCW debut. I know Bischoff bitches and complains all the time that the segment went so much longer and it screwed up the show and this and that and blah, 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 blah. But, that quarter hour, since everybody likes to talk about demographics, that quarter hour did a 6.4 rating. Raw drew 3.1 for, I guess, their highest quarter. All right. After the Warriors segment, and this is something you'll never see anybody talk about. This is me when I used to cover ratings. Warriors debut in WCW did a 6.4 rating. After his debut was over and they went to the next match, the rating dropped all the way down to a 4.5. That shows you. And WCW that night beat Raw a 4.9 to a 4.2. That was WCW's only third win in 16 or 17 weeks. So that was a big ratings grab. I enjoyed it. Sure, Warrior went on, the deep end with his promos, but if you were a Warrior fan, you knew that already. For production, it screwed up the show. But as far as wrestling fans go, I always invite you. I always said this over the years, even when I covered the history shows. If you watch that, or better, if you hear it, and you have a good quality audio or video, and you listen to the Warriors debut in WCW, when you hear all that, Warrior talking in the beginning, then you hear the lightning bolts and all that, listen to that crowd pop. You don't ever hear crowd pops like that anymore. Is it the all-time crowd? No. But it is easily one of the biggest crowd pops. Definitely top 10 in WCW's history. People would never acknowledge that, but I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So that happened this week in 1998. So just wrapping this up a little bit. Next on the list, I had to obviously cover this. We were talking earlier, 2000. The night before, it was SummerSlam. And this was Steve Austin Appreciation Night. And, you know, we just had last week about the what chance and everything else. This was Steve Austin Appreciation Night. At the very end, you had the alliance in the ring with Steve Austin. And remember, Steve Austin had turned on the WWF. Kurt Angle was the biggest babyface representing WWF at the time. Steve Austin had come out with the beer truck a couple of years earlier. This time, this week in 2001, Kurt Angle came out with the milk truck and sprayed everybody in the ring with milk. Yeah. That was awesome. And do you know, that same night, we had a match. It was Diamond Dallas Page wrestling The Undertaker's wife at the time, Sarah. Of course, The Undertaker assisted, but in the record books, Sarah is officially 1-0 this week in 2001. She wrestled her only match ever, and she beat Diamond Dallas Page. Finally, you know what? I think also this week in 2001, we had The Beautiful People by Marilyn Manson debut as the SmackDown theme song. I think that may actually be the case. So I got to double check that, but I'm pretty sure that happened this week in 2001 as well. But finally, for this week in wrestling history, it was this week in 1999. Show you how times have changed, everybody. Lenny Lane beat Rey Mysterio Jr. to win the WCW Cruiserweight title. Unfortunately, he would be stripped about 6 weeks later. They did a phantom title change. They didn't even let him lose the title on television. They claimed that he lost the title to Psychosis somewhere in the world, and Lenny Lane was no longer champion. And the reason why he had that belt taken away was because Time Warner had a lot of concern with Lenny Lane and Lodi's teasing of being homosexuals, the homosexual gimmick, when they were using the bows and, you know, sucking on the lollipop. Time Warner was not happy with it. So after 6 weeks of holding that belt, they did a phantom title change, and that was it. But it was this week that he actually won the championship. And there you go. So, let's see. Before we wrap this up, quick super chat and a couple other things. Neil Ray, Dana Brooks, fish face is horrible. You know, look, I used to crack a lot of jokes about Dana Brooks' face. I mean, you know, like I said, it looks like she's always sucking on lemons. You know, but you know what? You know, what am I going to say? I mean, you know, it's some people, you know, I don't know if it's plastic surgery. I don't know if it's lip injections. I don't know what she's actually had. But it does look, you know, if you see it a lot of times, it looks like she's sucking on a lemon. But, you know, yeah, you know, people are still commenting about the Lodi stuff and, you know, Lenny Lane. Yeah, we have Billy and Chuck too. But you remember the Billy and Chuck stuff? You know, we had some gay organizations that were pissed off that they were told there was going to be a wedding, and they were very upset as far as the storyline. But Lenny and Lodi, you know, just think, imagine if Sonny Kiss won the TNT championship, and TNT, you found out, or was reported that, you know, Warner Media was a little bit uncomfortable with the Sonny Kiss, you know, character, and they did a phantom title change. You don't think there would be insane uproars on social media, especially? Be crazy. So, look, there's a lot of turmoil in the world. Social media has a lot of toxicity, but overall, when you do take a step back for a minute, we have definitely made leaps and bounds as far as, you know, accepting, you know, homosexuality, bisexuality, even race. Yeah, I know there's a lot of racial unrest, but, you know, as a lot of people point out, Barack Obama didn't become president because blacks voted him in. You know, when you realize, like I said, I always welcome people that don't know it. Go check out and see what percentage of the United States is white and what percentage of the United States is black. And when you realize that, a lot of white people had to vote him in to get him in, it's not always just about black and white, plain and simple. But we have made strides. But you're always going to have that small group of people that are just hate and hate and hate. And you'll never be able to change that. The only thing you could do is just keep exposing them and outing them and putting them on video. And the more, people see that they keep getting recorded and busted, I think it'll scare some other people straight, or maybe even give them that little split second of, let me, what am I, stupid? Maybe I need to, I think that's what happens to a lot of people. So anyway, but Dana Brooke, look, she tries hard, but, after all of these years and you see some of the stuff that we all see, I know she does have fans out there and they turn a blind eye to it. But when you're in the WWE, especially the WWE, that's the number one promotion in the world. You should have some extraordinary talent. And I personally feel if Dana Brooke even wrestled in Impact or wrestled in AEW, I don't think anybody would turn around and say, oh man, wow, she's great. Why was she this so bad in WWE? I think every promotion fans would say, she's not very good. She tries, but she's not very good. You're in WWE. You're not in, I don't want to single out any promotions and belittle them, but that's how I look at it, So anyway, just to wrap up, a couple other quick news tidbits. As I said earlier, AEW beat NXT 792 to 619. I'm very curious to see Keith Lee and Karrion Kross's first quarter hour rating, because what I've said about the last 3 weeks with Lee and Kross, but they were always later on in the show. Quarter one for NXT has been popping great ratings. In some cases, biggest rating of their entire night. I really want to see what NXT opened up with those two. If that ends up being one of the lowest quarters for the night, then you have to start asking yourself, which one is it? Is it Keith Lee? Is it Karrion Kross? Is it both of them? Why are fans not, especially with the Fireball stuff? The Fireball stuff was awesome, creative. If that was live, I don't know if you could do that. You open the book, you close it. Now, I don't know how I haven't looked online to see how you could actually do things like that. But, I got to see the quarter hours. Like I said, NXT did not land in the top 50 this week. They were like 65th or 69. And unfortunately, online, you only get like the top 50. And like I said, I'm trying to reactivate my Nielsen account. So if I reactivate it, I'll have everything firsthand from now on. The minute I get it, I share it with all of you. So we'll see what happens with that. We already talked about the Amway Center. Take a wait and see approach. Now, as far as SummerSlam having fans interactive, I don't know if they're going to do what I said earlier, or if they're just going to use, like with the video games, or you can't. I know some people are thinking, well, maybe they just got crowd footage from, older events. I don't even think you could do that, because you would have to find crowds that just sat. And how do you sync up the cheers, the boos, reactions? Somebody makes a move, everybody jumps up. That's why I think you're probably going to get video game stuff, or it's going to be still shots. If you just think about it, it's not like baseball. You hit a ball and everybody gets up to look. That's why they do cardboard cutouts. Every time when there's a fabulous play, everybody jumps up. What are you going to do? You're going to keep replaying the same video of the same fans. This person gets up, this person sits down, this person walks for a hot dog, comes back, 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 walks for a hot dog. You don't want to see that over and over again. So I got to see what they mean by it being interactive. So, maybe it generates a little more interest, but I'm surprised it took them this long, to be honest with you. Let's see. So this Wednesday, we have the go-home show for TakeOver 30. There's going to be some interesting matches. Balor and Velveteen Dream, they get the second chance match. Whoever wins that match goes on for the ladder match. You have Gargano and Ridge Holland, which is very interesting. Ridge Holland, bright future. They all have bright futures, but Ridge Holland I'm very intrigued by. I don't know if those winners then face each other. It can't, because the ladder match is Saturday at TakeOver. So this is going to determine who the final spots are. So, yeah, we got the final two participants will be in a ladder match. So the winner of Gargano, Holland, and the winner of Balor, Dream, will be in that ladder match. I was amazed at the uproar on social media about Velveteen Dream. And this is why we're just going to stay away from social media entirely from now on. But I'll say this. Just because you say something over and over doesn't make it true. You got one guy who made some accusations, and I don't want to mention his name, but I saw that guy who claims he's a wrestler or going to be a wrestler. And he claims that he's made all these accusations. Velveteen Dream, wanted to see his body and this and that. The funny thing about it is, I saw this guy writing post after post after post after post after post, angry because Velveteen Dream is back in NXT. And the one thing that had stood out to me was he said, no one has ever contacted me. No one has ever questioned me. And he feels like WWE brushed it under the rug. And my answer to that is, this guy did lewd and criminal behavior. Why didn't you call the cops? Yup. Why didn't you file a complaint? Yup. How come you never posted the proof of him asking for this? Yup. You're waiting for somebody to call you? Just let that sink in a little bit. Unfortunately, everyone out there, there's some very sick and disturbed people out there. And this guy gets angry when people call him a cloud chaser. How many of you out there have seen people who actually are angry at Alexa Bliss for dating someone, that they actually think that they could have a shot with dating her? Or they'll be very persistent on social media. Please talk to me. Please acknowledge my tweet. Please do this. Please do that. And then when you don't do it, they get angry and they want to get even. Even for what? There are people out there that are grown adults that do that. So this guy, it could very well be true. But if it was that serious, why do you wait for somebody to contact you? If they did, what do you say? What do you say? You have proof? Well, why haven't you posted that proof? Why haven't you given that proof to authorities? What are you waiting for? An invitation? You need mommy to hold your hand? So I personally feel, after all of this time, this guy has nothing. This guy feels that he got slighted by Velveteen Dream, or what he perceived to be a friendship, and he wants to see this guy's demise. There are a lot of people out there. They're called cancer culture. Cancer culture comes in many shapes, sizes, faces. And like I said, I did my research, and I have defended Velveteen Dream since day one. No one else out there can say that. No one. Some people have a little here, a little there, but since day one, I had the kahunas after researching and say, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. And I had Mish and others DT, I think you're wrong here. He told me straight out, I think you're way off on this one. And I told him, this is why I say this. Nothing added up. So just because you insist it, and I'm not even talking about this accuser now, just because social media insists he's a pedophile for the last 6 months doesn't make him a pedophile. You know, just because you keep saying the same thing wrong doesn't make it true. So, yeah, you want the retribution. Yeah, maybe he should just show up and start spray painting stuff and everything. But, no, I don't think Velveteen Dream will be on the main roster anytime soon. You know, they just brought him back once. Let's see where it goes from here. So, Legado del Fantasma versus Isaiah Swerve, Scott, and Breezango in a 6-man tag. Adam Cole and Pat McAfee will, I guess, have a face-to-face segment. Interesting, Pat McAfee does not equal ratings. Did not get any ratings, but that's another quarter hour that I want to see. I got to see that quarter hour. We have Bronson Reed, Damian Priest, and Cameron Grimes confirmed for the ladder match, so they'll probably have some interaction on NXT. And, that's pretty much what's announced so far. Now, AEW, like I said, does not air until next Saturday. So we can cover their preview next Friday. I'm sure some additional content will be announced between now and then. I know about the spoilers that are floating around online. I honestly don't know if they're true. They sound a little too convenient, in some ways that, I'm going to just watch it and see what goes down. Well, let's put it this way. By match 1, if you saw the spoilers, I'm not going to give any away. I'm not going to post it to even hint it. But if you look at match 1 on those spoilers, if match 1 on Dynamite ends up being the same, now you know all those spoilers are true. And we'll see what happens. But I'm very curious to see what NXT does unopposed next Wednesday. In my opinion, they did 691 last week, which is, in my opinion, terrible. Did they do 691 or was it higher than that? They did 619. What am I saying? That is terrible. Terrible, especially the week before. But remember what I said Wednesday. I told everybody on Wednesday Night Dynamite to expect a 100,000 plus ratings drop for both shows, especially later on, because they may think the matches are uber important and big, but I just think for the casual wrestling fan, Jericho Cassidy is not as big as what AEW thinks it is, and diehard fans thinks it is. And I don't believe Kushida, Grimes, and Velveteen Dream was a big, interest in fans as well. It has nothing to do with the allegations either. So I knew that was going to be a huge drop. And you can't blame it on the NBA because AEW beat the NBA in a game or two on Wednesday. So you can't blame it on the NBA. So we'll see. But I have a feeling NXT unopposed next week is not going to get as good of a rating as people think it may get. You think about the matches I already read here. Balor Dream is probably the only match that's really intriguing me. Rich Holland I'd like to see win, but it's still early. But that is not a solid card on paper. And take note of what I've been saying the last 2 weeks. Retribution is not really doing anything with NXT. So there's going to probably be an NXT connection somewhere. Should be. Somebody saying we broke 15,000. Did we break 15,000? Ah, man, that's awesome. Everybody tuning in. I always say this, subscribe to the channel because in the next week or two, I'm going to start doing a lot of pre-recorded videos. In fact, the AEW Dynamite that takes place on that Saturday, I may do a pre-recorded video on. But I'm going to start doing pre-recorded videos on individual topics. I'm going to start doing some Q&As over here, and I'm going to be uploading videos. I was checking out my stats, and I'm not going to lie. I compared it to another wrestling podcaster out there, and I did, I think, 32 podcasts so far in the last 30 days. 32 podcasts in 30 days. Something like that. Or 26, somewhere around, it was almost, no, actually it was 22 in 30 days, because I don't do one every day. This other podcaster in 30 days did 110. And that's because this person does 10-minute clip, 10-minute clip, 5-minute clip, 20-minute clip, 10-minute clip, and a lot of you have been telling me, DT, even when I talked about Excalibur and cancer culture trying to go for Excalibur, I can't tell, out of all the clips all the clips that people have wanted me to put by itself, that one is probably the biggest one. I'm going to start doing clips. I don't want to just take it from a main show and just repost it. No reason you want to hear the same thing said twice. Like, I'm not going to take something from tonight's show and put it as an individual clip. And then, oh, DT posted a clip. Oh, it's something he said on the show already. I don't want to hear that again. So I can't do Affleck tonight. It's 1 in the morning over here, guys. I ended up going a lot longer. I said earlier this week I got to cut back on the shows. The only reason why Friday nights we could go longer is because I got the weekend. I don't have to get up at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. People think that I'm spiteful on Monday night when I say I got to finish the show 60 to 75 minutes. I got to get up at 6 a.m. on Tuesday. So I got to try to get to sleep by 2. Get 4 hours in. So once the show's over, I got to edit and do other stuff. So, Monday and Wednesday is a little bit difficult because I got to work the next day. But Friday nights is a little different. Friday nights, tomorrow morning, I can get up at 10, 11. Then I got to shoot to the moms for the day. So game night, I got to figure out how we're going to do this tomorrow. I have a computer over there, but the graphics card is not all that spectacular. So, we'll see. I'm sure, we'll probably get it done. But with that said, everyone, I think we're going to jet out for the night. We got into a lot of stuff, had a lot of fun with all of you tonight. Thank you, as always. Before you go, if you enjoyed the episode, give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you didn't like it. I could take the criticism. And speak up, man. Any suggestions, advice, pointers, tips, things you want to see more on this channel, speak up. I'm telling you, I pay attention to everybody. Enough of you complain to me about talking about goofs and other podcasters, and that's gone. That's gone. It's history. So I'm always looking to make this bigger and better. And you know what I just noticed? The cool thing about it? I haven't had my air conditioner on. And for some reason, there's not really much heat in here. So these lights actually are pretty good. So if anybody out there, I got to take pictures of them because they're newer. That's the brand, NEEWER. They're newer 620s with the softbox. So if anybody out there that does podcasts that may want to tinker with lighting and stuff, I picked up a pair of newer 620s. And this is the Sony Alpha 6100. It's a mirrorless camera. This will be my cam from now on. So I can't connect it for another week. I'm waiting for an Elgato Cam Link. My God. Any of you out there that podcast or video stream or you game, you all see what's going on right now with the price of cameras and, capture cards. Holy cow. Holy cow. I'm trying not to curse. I did 2 curses tonight. I think I'm pretty proud of myself with that. But do you see what's going on with all the prices? Elgato has a cam link. And what you do is when you have I'm sure you all know this already, but when you have a camera or a camcorder, your computer doesn't understand the video that's coming in. So the video gets captured on this little capture card. You plug this in your computer, and the capture card decodes the video to make it so the computer can understand it. Obviously, you have to use OBS software in order to actually stream. The idea is that if you're blogging and you're using this as your webcam, the computer doesn't understand this video. So you need like a middleman between your computer and the camera. So they have what's called an Elgato Cam Link. That's the most popular one. That Cam Link, the average price for it is $129. I actually got 2 on the way, and I got them for $129. But if you go on Amazon right now, the cheapest price you can find with Prime delivery is about $200, $179, $199, because there's so many people that are working from their home now that don't have built-in cameras in their monitors or their computers. So they're trying to hook up regular cameras, you know, however they do it, to their computer, and they need this capture card. So it's in such high demand that the prices have almost doubled. This camera I got through a friend of mine that works for PC Richard. And PC Richard in a lot of areas have closed down, but they worked through a main manufacturer, and he got it for me at cost. But even if you go on Amazon, you know, the camera itself is about $800. It's crazy. And Benjamin, it is price gouging, assholes. I cursed third tonight, but they deserve it. You thought Lysol wipes and Clorox wipes, you know, the antibacterial wipes, that's price gouging. This is a true story. I don't think Mike from Your Best Bargains is live right now. He would vouch for this. You see this? I'm going to leave you with this, and then we're going to go. You see this right here? This is a bottle of Clorox hand sanitizer. Some of you already know this story. This is a bottle of Clorox hand sanitizer. About 4 months ago, those sanitizers were sold out on Amazon. And what happened was I started to notice a pattern that after midnight, these would pop up on Amazon for about 5-10 minutes. Once in a while during the day, it would pop up for maybe 5 minutes. And what I did was, this guy Mike especially, and a few others, they were asking me, you know, like, where are you getting these things? And I told them, I said, you gotta pay attention, Amazon, midnight, 5 minutes after, you gotta just keep hitting the reload button, and one of these may come up. Sure enough, he was able to buy a couple. Of my followers and listeners were able to buy a bunch. I was able to buy a bunch. These cost, I think maybe $7 or $8 on eBay 4 months ago. And if you think I'm lying, go on eBay and you go into the advanced search and click where it says completed auctions. Look up this brand. All right, Clorox bleach-free hand sanitizer. I love this because look at this. It's a spray. It's not a gel, it's a spray. I love that hand sanitizer. But go on eBay. These were selling 4 months ago, $125 a bottle. I kid you not. $7 bottle, it was selling for $125. So you think price gouging is just for antibacterial stuff? It's cameras, it's cam links, it's anything that has to do with a house, home supplies, computer ink. Oh my God. Good, look up computer ink right now. It's crazy what's going on, man. It's the price is wrong. Terrible. But we're at the 1 a.m. mark. Gave about an hour extra tonight. It's Friday night. It's all good. And I thank everybody for sticking around. And I thank you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart, seriously, for helping me get to 15,000. We're only at this less than 7 months. And it's just been amazing. And I really, really want to take it to the next level. It's got to happen organically. Not going to force it. But, you know, all of us, you know, we're one big family over here. I thank you for the support more than you can imagine. You take that much time to sit and watch what I do and enjoy it and humble me by saying that you really, you know, get your mind off of crap, then I best damn give you, you know, 110%. And you know what? I know this sounds really, really corny, but, you know, you got to thank the lady inside as well, because especially at my age, you get, you know, attractive woman like that with a head on her shoulders, and, you know, she stays out of trouble and she likes staying home. You don't get many people come across your life that way. And she allows me to do this stuff. You know, and I've had long talks with her, and I'm like, look, if you want me to stop this, but you know, she knows that, no denying it, this is kind of a job also, it is, but she actually is a wrestling fan too. You know, so I hit a home run with this. So the fact that, you know, she's inside and letting me sit here for 3 hours and hang out with all of you and talk about wrestling and sometimes get a little real life stuff in here as well. And all positive, all positive. You know, she's good people, man, good people. So everyone, have a great weekend. Have a great night. If you're on Patreon, Sunday afternoon, I will be doing an episode of Blah, Blah, Blah. As I've announced to the patrons, you know, the shows on Patreon, the Patreon exclusive shows, we always have like a VIP and an elite group that send in questions and comments for the shows. Something that I was always asked of me is, you know, you should have at least one show on there where anybody could send in questions. Blah, blah, blah is now that show. So if you're a patron and you're one of our regular members, you can, you know, ask me anything. I'll be doing that show Sunday, and we're going to cover the gamut from wrestling to baseball to other stuff. And if anybody wants to go check it out, patreon.com/Don Tony. I don't shill it anymore. If you notice, one thing that I listened to a lot of you out there, for a little while last year, a lot of you were saying, wow, his shows sound like simple, like they're now commercials just for Patreon. Oh, you want to hear good content? Go to Patreon. Oh, you want to check this out? Go to Patreon. You want to do? I don't do that anymore. I hope people have noticed that. Cut out the politics on these shows for the most part, and I cut out making these shows feel like they're just advertisements for Patreon. So, Darren, she contributes to the bills a little bit. She absolutely does. No question. But, you know, like I said, you know, when obviously the shows generate a little bit of funds. And right now, you know, what I'm trying to do is make these shows look the best they could, sound the best they could. You know, I do giveaways. So it's not like I pocket money and go out to dinner with it. I always put back into the shows, always try to make things better. And, you know, like I said, I'm still new to this. And my next step, obviously the camera I have already, as soon as I get the capture card, it's there. I got the tripod already set up. It's ready to go. But my next step, which I'm probably going to do next week because I'm a very impatient person, I'm putting a second monitor here, and that monitor is going to be strictly you. So audio goes down, something, you know, anything, something, super chat, anything important, you know, you'll always have a screen in front of me. Right now, it's really, really hard because my software program that I use, vMix, for the video and stuff, that takes up a huge portion of the screen. I can't really crop it all that much because I got to look at the monitors, and plus that's where I get the access to post the photos and stuff like that. But then I got my notes. Then I have, you know, YouTube connection. Then I got the chat. So it's, even with a 36-inch screen, it's hard to cut the windows that small. So a second monitor is going to be dedicated for all of you. So this way, you got my eyes on you all the time. So, in fact, I'm even thinking of putting it right above the camera. So when I'm looking at the camera, I could also see you at the same time. So, you know, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. You know, I'm having fun. I hope you are enjoying it, and send your feedback. I'll be back. I don't know if I'm going to be back Monday, because I know I was talking to Kev about rotating some a Monday off. I think, you know, having a week or two off, you know, rotating is probably in order. But then again, with SummerSlam coming up and with Retribution probably making a bigger impact on Monday to offset what happened tonight with the TV-14 rating, you know what? I convinced myself. I will be back Monday night. So if you're on Patreon, you'll get me Sunday live. And if not, then you'll get me right here Monday night, 11:05, right after Raw. So everyone take care. Much love as always. And I'll catch you all again Sunday or Monday. Ciao.
Son, oh my.
It was fun to channel surf. It was kind of hard to do a little pocket pool after you hitting the last channel button 50 times for 2 hours plus.
Son, oh my.
And his whole idea of overanalyzing, oh, he's an alcoholic and he misplaced the belt. And how could you have someone champion like that? The fuck out of here.
Wednesday night.
Dynamite. You can have fun. You really are.